Welcome back, folks. It's another great day here on Valiant Renegade. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Share this sucker out on the social medias. And do leave a comment before you head out today. Because this is where Hollywood comes to get put through the business and financial lens of reality. It's time. Renegade Online. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back, Renegade Nation. We are here once again live at 5 on a Wednesday afternoon. Good to see everybody out there. Hope you guys are having a fine week, a good hump day here. Speaking of hump day, we got Pedro Pascal in the news. We'll get to that. But a number of stories right now. We've got Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible opening this weekend. We've got a lot at the box office that's still going very strong. We've got this news on Warner Brothers regarding a credit rating downgrade. We'll talk about that a little bit as well, and a number of other things to go through. Should be a pretty fun little afternoon right here. So glad everybody is joining us. As you're filing in, please make sure that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to this channel. And do go ahead and hit the share button as well for us. Send it out to all the social medias, all the Facebooks and the X's and all that kind of fun stuff. Let me get my YouTube window opened up here. I neglected to do that before we kicked off. How is everybody doing out there? How is everybody doing? I think StreamYard, let's see, StreamYard is cooperating today. Are we cooperating, StreamYard? I think we are. I see 2-starred chats. Okay, I think we're good. We're actually good so far. Knock on wood. I probably jinxed it just by saying that just now. Let's see. Let me get this opened up here. Been a busy week, busy day. School's almost out, which is kind of nice. Looking forward to that. We're kind of in the last week or so of school. So looking forward to getting past this. I'm going to be seeing Mission Impossible Final Reckoning tomorrow afternoon. So very much looking forward to that, and then coming back and talking about it, maybe doing a special show to kind of review some thoughts on that film. But one of the things that we definitely want to talk about is the box office for that and what this film is estimated to have cost, because, you know, that's something that we do here on a routine basis. And Mission Impossible, no surprise, certainly one of the more expensive endeavors out there for Hollywood production. Namely has to do with the set pieces that are built for those things, the stunts that they do, very intricate, very expensive. And then, of course, the cacophony of on-location shooting. A multitude of different countries all over the globe. Each one of those comes with their own sets of filming permits, hiring local crews, local catering, local hotels and lodging for the crew that does travel the globe with them, especially the actors, the director, the writer, so on and so forth. It's a very expensive thing to do. No surprise that Mission Impossible Final Reckoning is going to be in that upper echelon of, holy crap, I can't believe you spent that much. But is it the same as a Disney production in that regard? You know, we always give Disney a lot of hell because Disney tends to radically overspend for what they ultimately deliver. And that's something that needs to be taken into an account. The other side of it, too, like we always talk about, there's not a whole lot of runoff for Disney with their $200, $300, $400, $500 million productions once they leave theaters. The same isn't quite true for these Skydance productions that are distributed theatrically by Paramount, in this case, the Mission Impossible movies. Also think of Top Gun Maverick, things like that. Although, of course, Maverick did phenomenally at the theater. If you remember the last Mission Impossible movie that was now about 2 years ago that came out, Dead Reckoning, the scheduling for that was really not great. It came out about a week or so before Barbie and Oppenheimer just piled into theaters, dragged a bunch of crowds with them. Oppenheimer claimed all of the IMAX screens, and it really presented a lot of problems. Mission Impossible just really got buried back there, even internationally. I don't know if the same is going to happen this time, although there's certainly a ton of competition out there. I would hope and think at this point that this eighth and final installment in the Mission Impossible franchise is probably going to do better than the last one. Now, the question is how much better than the last one can or will it do? Because it's got quite the hurdle to get over. Before we get into some of the particulars here, let me just say hi to everybody in the chat. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. We've got about 300 of you watching on YouTube as we get started. It looks like maybe another 100 or so over there on X. Look, from a social media platform, X is great. It's a lot of fun as far as X goes for video content creators. It ain't there yet. It just ain't there yet. But we are going to keep broadcasting from time to time on X. But we encourage everybody to come over here and watch it on YouTube. The chat is far more lively. You can chime in with super chats, ask me questions through super chats, and we respond to each and every one of them. I wish X would get there. I think they're leaving a lot of money on the table, and not just for obviously content creators, but for X as well. So we're going to try to keep hammering that home. Thank you to Araxis for gifting 5 Valiant Renegade channel memberships. Always first man out of the gate with those gifts. We really appreciate you. Packing Protons for $2. Pedro goes to the Blue Oyster Bar. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. I promise. I promise. Might have a guest hop in today. If they have time to join us for a bit. I think we've got some subject matter that they certainly would have some things to say. Up next, we've got, come on, there we go. Marcus Quintus for $5. Since I am subscriber prime on the Renegade Nation channel, spilled the beans, did you? Want to clue us into what's happening. Just curious. All right, Marcus Quintus, since you kind of let the cat out of the bag, wasn't going there yet. It's fine, though. I did send this out to all of our Valiant Renegade channel members last night. We do officially have a new channel, and it's going to be something completely different. Been thinking about this for a while. YouTube does not really like you to mix content types on YouTube. It really kind of sucks. But that is how they operate. And I love to cover current events, news, political charged stuff. I love to speak on it. The problem is trying to do that on the same channel like we do here sometimes, like we did in the past when the election came up. It really screws with the YouTube algorithm. They don't like it. So we have a new channel called Renegade Nation. It's at youtube.com/@Renegade Nation News, because apparently @Renegade Nation was already taken. I will leave a link to that. I don't even know if it's yet searchable. But the idea here is we do need to get it monetized as quickly as possible. I was going to wait until I had all of the graphics and everything finished. They're still getting worked on, but I didn't want to let members know about that. So as long as you understand that what you're seeing over there is a shell, hoping to have everything finished maybe in the next week or so. Waiting on getting a lot of that work done. So let me see if I can go find this real quick while I'm thinking about it. I will post it in the chat. You can go subscribe to it real quick. See if I can find this. There's a number of these things. I want to make sure you don't sub to the wrong one. Here we go. It's got my logo on it right now. I mean, it's really, you can't miss it. And that's part of the problem. There's too many channels with that name. But since I already kind of coined that term here, I hate to not use it because it was too catchy. All right. The actual link to that new channel is now in the chat. Matter of fact, I'm going to pin it right there. So it'll be at the top of the chat. That is it. And we will discuss that more as we get closer to it. Like I said, I'm hoping to have everything kind of set up and ready to go in the next week. And this way, it's going to give me the ability to just have a channel dedicated towards me basically reacting to the news, whatever it is. It's going to be under people and blogs, that kind of thing, a very generic header for YouTube. They do want you to categorize things and then stick to it. So when I do things on this channel, and 95% of the content is categorized as entertainment. All right. How about that? I had to reset StreamYard. I think the internet went out. Can y'all get me now? Are we back? It looks good on my screen now. A minute ago it just froze. And that was the end of it. So I have no idea what happened there. But we appear to be back. That being said, I'm hoping I didn't lose any. It looks like I might have lost. Well, let's see. I've still got the super chats here that I hadn't read yet, it looks like. Any case, that's what's going on. Have a little internet difficulties, it appears. But just to kind of give you a heads up, we'll let you know as soon as we get everything up and running in good order on that channel. Jedi Master Lawrence gifted 5 Valiant Renegade channel memberships. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. And GJJ, member for 5 months. No message, but thank you for being a 5-month member, my friend. Juliet, as a member for 6 months, subscribed to your new channel. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. We need to get it up to, like I said, 1,000 subs pretty quick. They went back to the 4,000 watch hours for monetization. I'm hoping that's not going to be a terribly difficult problem because we'll probably do one of the live shows here. Probably not this Sunday. I don't know if we'll be ready to go for that yet. I want to have a little bit more time, but maybe the following Sunday, we might do that where we'll do our show here. And then we'll redirect over to right into a live show on the new channel. And then hopefully everybody can join us there for as much of the show as possible and try to really build up in rapid fashion as much of those watch hours as we possibly can. I mean, if I can get a few hundred people in there and do a 2-hour, 3-hour show, I mean, if I've got 1,000 people in there and they watch for an hour, and we're already a quarter of the way there, right? So that's what we got to try to do. Obviously, there's also going to be some video content. Video content is what's primarily going to drive that new channel, I believe, at least for the foreseeable future. So, but we got to do the live shows in the beginning to try to get those watch hours to accelerate as quickly as possible. Tim Hayes says, hail. Good to see you, Tim. Appreciate you guys being here. All right, let me, I've got to bring all these assets back into backstage again because internet went poof. I don't know. Tina. Tina says, I've already got 400 YouTube subscriptions. Do I need another? You don't, but we'd love to have you over there. So yeah, like I said, the link is pinned up at the top of the chat. So you can check it out there. You can go to @Renegade Nation News on YouTube.com. Pretty simple. And again, that regular logo, the VR logo that you all know, is the logo for that channel right now. We'll have a slight variation of that. It's the final product, but it's going to look just like that with a different color scheme, more or less. Okay. All right. Let me, as we were mentioning Mission Impossible here, let's talk about some of the issues with this movie. This is going to open up tomorrow for Thursday previews along with Lilo and Stitch. Now, I've already got 2 IMAX tickets for Mission Impossible. for tomorrow afternoon, as I mentioned earlier. I do not yet have tickets to Lilo and Stitch, although I know my kids want to go see it. I, I'm assuming that probably at some point this weekend I'll be in the theater watching that as well. Probably try to do that on a Saturday early or something like that, or I don't know. But within the next week, we will be seeing it. It's just a matter of finding the time. I'm more interested in Mission Impossible, obviously. Let's see. Doot. Here we go. I don't know what this if I usually don't catch the chat that often because it goes quickly. I'm going to mention this real quick just in case something accidentally didn't happen while I was out. Somebody mentioned out there, did Pro block me? Why are you beefing? I don't know. Did somebody get blocked by accident when I had to reset everything? Did I miss something? Y'all let me know. It has happened, especially when internet goes down. You're clicking on things. I have been known in the past, probably on at least 2 or 3 occasions where I have, as a moderator, I've accidentally blocked or timed out somebody that I didn't even know I did. So if anything weird happened out there, please let me know. Or if just somebody was just making a goofy comment, I don't know. I just happened to see that. And I want to make sure that that nothing like that happened when we had that technical malfunction here a moment ago. All right, so let's look at that. This is from Exhibitor Relations, and I will tell you, Exhibitor Relations is one of my favorite box office follows that I have over on X. They do a great job of reporting all the data pretty early in the day, usually a lot earlier than even the numbers gets it before they update their website at least. And it is what it is. And I'm not terribly surprised. Exhibitor Relations says that Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning reportedly cost between $300 and $400 million. Now, I'm sure they sourced that from somewhere. Plus at least $100 million in marketing. Both of those figures to me sound pretty much on the money, right? That sounds extremely reasonable for a movie like this for all the reasons I mentioned previously. Paramount Plus subscriptions aren't going to cover that spend. No, probably not. All those involved better hope this goes off like no other Mission Impossible film ever has. Now, he's right. In large degree, right? So if you look at this purely from a make money at the box office perspective, let's put this into a reality check here. $300 to $400 million. Now, that's a hell of a range. I mean, that's the difference between I need $1 billion at the box office and I might need closer to 800 million at the box office if I'm going to break even there, right? So that's $200 million a stretch, right? Quite a stretch. Now, I think that 300 million, probably closer to the 300 million side. We don't know if that is gross. We don't know if that's net of film tax credits. They sure filmed in a lot of different international territories and countries. So most of those countries have some type of film tax credit for when you show up in their country and you spend money to hire local labor. So, for example, they love shooting in Norway. They shot a lot in Norway towards the northern end this time in all the ice and everything else to get some of the scenes that they needed. I watched some of the behind the scenes footage of this, just like they did before with the motorcycle jump in the last one. That was in Norway. Norway, probably has some type of film tax credit to where, hey, if you spend $20 million hiring local Norwegian labor, sound stages, caterers, spending money on hotels in Norway to put up your crew, they give you a tax credit for coming in and doing that. So let's just say for a second it's splits, right? Let's say it's $350 million. All right. $350 million, and that's after film tax credits. Let's get real wild with this. After film tax credits, $350 million. That would be significant, right? And The last one, with all the COVID delays, I think came to a total of just under $300 million, and they were able to recover, reportedly, somewhere around $90 million, $90 million from insurance settlements because of all the production delays because of COVID. Now, of course, this isn't going to have the same type of. You're not going to get insurance coverage for this movie because of COVID, right? This was shot after. Some of this may have been shot. Some of the footage may have been shot during the filming of the previous one because it was supposed to be part 1, part 2, right? Some of these things may have been done at the same time, kind of like Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. We've been talking about those a lot. When we've been discussing the upcoming Doomsday film next year, those two movies cost $1.3 billion collectively under the same production entity that was in the UK. They filmed a lot of stuff around the same time for those two movies. Obviously, I don't know how much of that happened here, but if we're talking about $450 million all in between marketing and production. Still looking at, I'm getting a glitch again. Can you guys still see me? Yeah, my YouTube reset. I got a glitch on the screen for about 1 second. I'm having some serious internet problems today. You guys still got me? I apologize. I hate this because it totally screws up the flow. Okay, good. You guys still got me. My StreamYard screen blanked out, reset. My YouTube stream on the other monitor blanked out, swirled, reset, like the internet disappeared again. Okay, cool. All right. Now I got to find my train of thought again. Train never left the station. So we're talking about potentially $450 million of total spend. That's a $900 million box office is what you need to cover that expense. However, one thing I will say that these Tom Cruise movies tend to do well with is that they do engender a pretty robust audience of people that want to pick it up. The fans want to pick it up on PVOD, on physical media. And it seems like they tend to do it at pretty well above average rates, right? Disney films, you think of Marvel, you think of Snow White even. Yikes, I'm sorry about that. Think of Little Mermaid. Think of anything that Disney puts out. It's mostly a kid's audience, and parents tend to wait the extra 2 or 3 weeks for it to just plop out on Disney+. These movies like Mission Impossible, remember Top Gun Maverick, they gave it it was a couple of months before it came out on PVOD, and then they waited an additional 4 to 5 weeks before the physical media released. Paramount really knows and respects traditional theatrical windowing. And that's going to work tremendously in their favor. That means they're going to get probably paid out a higher or a decently higher percentage than a lot of movies out there, especially the ones that go, say, 30 days or 2 weeks or 45 days. If they allow this film a 90 to a 120 day window before it sees PVOD, depending on what Paramount has worked out. Remember how vociferous Tom Cruise was when it came to making sure that there was a 120 day window for Maverick, right? I think we potentially see the same thing here, maybe 90 days. But the fact of the matter is that they have the potential for reaping a little bit more from the box office than some of their competitors, number one. Number two, like I said, the PVOD, the physical media sales, and the fact that go Google right now where you can go watch as part of a streaming service the Mission Impossible movies. Yes, most of them are probably residing on Paramount Plus, but over the last several years, I've seen them everywhere. They farmed them out. In other words, they licensed them out for cash money to other streamers out there. I think they were on Amazon at one point. I think maybe Netflix had a few of them at one point. I've seen them on other streaming services. Paramount and Skydance, in this case, are receiving a fee for that. So unlike a company that consumes all of their own product immediately and in perpetuity, like Walt Disney does with Disney Plus, there's actually still good money to potentially be made on films like this from studios that don't use the Disney model. Paramount is one of those, especially with properties like this that are not in-house Paramount productions per se. Paramount, again, is the distributor here. Just like Maverick, this is Tom Cruise, this is Skydance. It's kind of like the same kind of deal you see with Universal and Blumhouse with Five Nights at Freddy's and whatnot, right? So they sign a distribution deal. It's like Avatar with Disney. That's a distribution deal. Paramount probably has some equity skin in the game as well as being a financier for the production. That's a little bit different than, say, a Disney that owns Marvel or owns Star Wars or owns Lilo and Stitch, also coming out this weekend. So this movie's got a high hurdle. And look, if it bombs in theaters, we're going to call it out for what it is. I mean, the last movie was disappointing for what it did. That was rough. They considering what they got back from the insurance company, and you take that into account, the losses could have been $90 million worse than they were had they not gotten that reported insurance settlement. But apparently they're plodding through. They're going to finish this thing out, and they feel like we got enough here. Let's see what happens. Let's hope this budget is a little overinflated. Let's hope that it's gross, right? Let's hope that it's $350 million minus film tax credits. That'd be great, right? That would be great. Or at least not great, but it'd be a hell of a lot better if their net cost comes down to closer to $300 million or even under. So we'll see. I'll have to look at, hopefully by Sunday, we'll have a little bit more detail because we'll see some more interviews coming out, some more news reports coming out between now and then. But for right now, that's what we've got to work with. All right, let me pull that down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, let's see. I want to get the, let's see, see if Deadline should have a preview out yet for the weekend. Yep, here we go. I had a feeling we'd get one of these today. All right. Knock on wood, the internet connection is finally, looks like it's stabilizing. I'm hoping. I don't see any warning signs on my system anymore, which is nice. All right. All right, let's go through this from Anthony D'Alessandro at Deadline Magazine. Talking about the weekend box office in total, right? We've got Lilo and Stitch. We've got Mission Impossible. We've got the Discover card. Thanks, pop-ups. I need to go take care of a dog situation. I'm about to shoot one if they don't shut up and the kids are not taking care of this. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Hang on. Let me, what do we got here that we can play? Oh, God, this is terrible. We'll play this one.
I don't know what it is, but for some reason, when I kiss you, it's like I'm kissing my brother.
Believe me, it makes perfect sense.
It just feels wrong. And yet, so right.
What do you mean you had sex with your own mother?
She was throwing herself at me, Doc.
Jesus Christ, Marty!
She's a lot younger. It's not what it sounds like.
I don't even understand how you're still here. Surely you must have undone something. Unless... Yes, they can still fix this. We just have to send you back to stop the sex from ever happening.
Wait, Marty, you can't go through with this.
There's two of you?
You had a three-way?
Yeah.
With your mother?
Uh-huh.
And yourself?
And now my monitor's dead. What is going on? I can't, like, what? Every technical issue today, like the whole monitor. I knew this thing was going kind of wacky, but apparently, did I just lose the whole screen? What is up with this? Good Lord. Okay, here we go. reset. We're going to take that whole segment again. Y'all can't see what I see because StreamYard is reflecting what's being cast to the monitor, not the screen itself. The screen is a mess. I've had to order a new one because that one is just not working out. All right, so here is from Anthony D'Alessandro and Nancy Tartaglione doing the tag team domestic and global box office preview for this coming weekend, Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, to fuel a near $500 million combined global debut in a Memorial Day weekend for the record books. Let's hope it is, especially for theatrical sake, right? They say no, the rest of the world doesn't celebrate Memorial Day weekend, but with big blockbusters like Disney's Lilo and Stitch and Paramount's Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, they should. After an insufferable Memorial Day weekend last year, in which Mad Max spinoff Furiosa, just not good movie, didn't create any heat, at one point coming close to getting capsized by Sony's Garfield movie, Hollywood remembered, Memorial Day weekend is for massive tent poles and has booked one for girls and one for boys. Seriously, that's what it is when you get down to it, despite the blah blah of overlapping demos. Okay. It's in what's amounting to another Barbenheimer weekend at the box office, or a Glicked weekend at the box office back in pre-Thanksgiving 24 when Wicked and Gladiator 2 dominated. Okay. Again, I know what they're going for, and yes, the blah, blah overlapping demos are actually a thing. We do have to account for this. And the overlapping demos, unfortunately, are going to work against Mission Impossible between these two films. Boys and girls are both fairly equally interested in seeing Lilo and Stitch. If anything, Mission Impossible is going to be more, obviously, of the adult demo. And if a lot of those adults are going to have to take kids to see Lilo and Stitch, they may not go see Mission Impossible. We've covered this kind of thing before. Again, Barbie and Oppenheimer were very, very divergent, right? Barbie and Oppenheimer, no guys wanted to go see Barbie. Men don't want to see Barbie. They would go see Oppenheimer. Whereas this one, the guys will go watch Lilo and Stitch. I mean, I'm going to want to sit through it, and I do want to see it. So it's going to favor Lilo and Stitch more. And of course, the numbers that we brought up before do tend to support that as well. The total Memorial Day weekend beginning on Friday looks to rival 2013's high watermark when Fast and the Furious 6 and Hangover 3 ruled, which per Box Office Mojo minted $314 million stateside over 4 days. Now, of course, bear in mind, that's 2013. That's 12 years ago. You slap in a basic bit of ticket price inflation, not CPI, not Consumer Price Index, but actual movie ticket price inflation. And again, grading it for new releases that wind up in premium large format screens. We know what a lot of these movies sell for. The nighttime shows, like I said, back then you might have been paying $11 to $12 for a PLF ticket. Today, that same PLF ticket where I'm at is nearly $18. It's a big, big jump, right? It feels like roughly 40 to 50% when I go back and look at some of these movies and what I paid for them, 10, 12 years ago. So again, that $314 million stateside is going to be closer to something like $414 million today. But I think that there's a good chance that these two movies, Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch, over the 4-day frame, should be able to beat that 314 without. And again, that's with all the movies in total, right? Not just those top two, but all the movies in the weekend. And you still have really strong pull going for things like Final Destination, Bloodlines, which came out just a few days ago. Lilo and Stitch and Mission will score a global start that's looking at $485 million combined. Broken out, they're looking at about $275 million for Lilo and $210 million for Mission Impossible, the 8th movie in the Tom Cruise franchise. And one of the things that I always tend to remind people of is that historically, the Mission Impossible franchise does tend to bring in a much stronger international box office. I mean, it is a global film. It is truly an international film because of all the locations it shoots on, the type of movie it is, the espionage element, very popular overseas. So I expect to see probably about 60% of the box office, if not more, coming from the international side of things, similar to what we've seen in past MI entries. Lilo and Stitch could be fairly even split. We'll have to see. Lilo and Stitch stateside has $20 million plus so far in pre-sales, which is about half of what Moana 2 and 2019's Lion King live action remake had before they opened. They were at 40 million apiece. So, all right, here's the thing. And I never know how to really. Kids' movies, family movies tend not to do a lot of pre-sales. That's a lot of walk-up traffic. That's people that show up the day of, buy tickets the day of, walk in, sit down. Especially if you're bringing kids, because you don't always plan to go until you go. That's just how it works. The only time that we really look at what ticket pre-sales are carefully is when it comes to things like Marvel movies, because the MCU has such a well-documented history of how pre-sales impact the front-loading of the movie, and pre-sales tend to be very indicative. Remember when we were talking about pre-sales a couple of months ago for Minecraft, and we were like, ugh. And based on the pre-sales, $60 million opening weekend, yeah, they were off by like, what, $100 million domestically. It was 160 million and not 60 million because the pre-sales gave them nothing. It gave them no reliable information compared to people just showed up and they wanted to go see it. That may or may not happen here. We really don't know, right? But think about where they're pegging this thing. 275 million global for Lilo. So if you assume about 130 to 140 million here stateside, and then the rest from overseas, because again, here we're going to have that extra Monday, Memorial Day Monday holiday for them to dive into that the rest of the world doesn't have. That's going to stretch the 3-day weekend performance really out to 4. Because a lot of people will just say, oh, we'll just go Monday when everybody's off of work, right? Pre-sales are ahead of Super Mario Brothers, ahead of Little Mermaid. That's not exactly I wouldn't want to use that as a bellwether, but okay. I get where they're going. And ahead of a Minecraft movie. Again, not surprised. I mean, Minecraft was massive walk-up traffic. The biggest opener for Memorial Day weekend belongs to Top Gun Maverick at 160.5 million. Also, Tom Cruise's record debut. And Lilo and Stitch is eyeing 150 million. Best opening for a Disney film is the second best Memorial Day opening ever, with Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, which did 139.8. Again, 2007. That's almost 20 years ago now, if you can believe it. That 139.8 million for Memorial Day weekend, if that is in today's ticket prices, you're talking about something stupid. You're talking about 230 million probably or more. It's an insane amount. I mean, ticket prices are way up since 2007. We have way more premium large format screens than we did almost 20 years ago. Not to mention way more IMAX screens than almost 20 years ago. We have, don't forget, this is the other thing. In 2007, Thursday previews basically did not exist. They didn't. I mean, I remember buying midnight tickets for the Star Wars prequels. I remember buying midnight tickets to get the first showing, like midnight Friday or 10 p.m. Thursday. And there was one screening or something like that for Lord of the Rings. Now you've got Thursday previews that are starting at 2 in the afternoon. And then you have 2 and you have 4 and you have 6 and you have 7, 10 o'clock. There's like 6, 7, 8 Thursday previews for each of these movies around here where I live. It's per theater. There's a lot. There's a lot. So it's not like it was in 2007. That's why I get kind of an issue going back that far for comparing. To me, it's like, look, you got to look at nothing earlier than, say, 2017, 2018, or especially even better, don't compare it to anything pre-COVID. But at least look at the modern era when we went to these Thursdays like its own day. Movies don't even really open on Fridays anymore. They open on Thursdays now. Anyway, I digress. For Lilo, women 18 to 34 off the charts. But Disney is seeing an equally hot demo in men 18 to 34. What did I tell you? I didn't read this before we started. This is a cold take. Previews start Thursday at 2 p.m. Strangely enough, that's the exact same time that previews start for, guess what? Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning. And that's what I'm going to see it. So you're going to have Thursday previews at 2 p.m. I can tell you right now, all the schools around here finished today and tomorrow. So by tomorrow, where I'm at, around the New Orleans area, every Catholic school and every public school kid is basically done. They're all done. So that's why they're setting it up. You can immediately get out of school, half day, take the bus home, get in the car, go to a 2 o'clock movie. That's the idea, because that's exactly what I'm doing tomorrow. So this is really like a 5-day weekend. Again, very difficult to go back and compare to something from 2007 and 2013, because this scale of Thursdays, it didn't exist, if at all, especially in 2007. So just throwing that out there for relative comparison here. We're going to compare apples to apples. 4,300 screens is what Lilo is getting. And all the premium formats except for IMAX. And all those, of course, go to Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible, because this film was made for IMAX, and IMAX will always defer to the brand ambassadors, meaning those movies that shoot for IMAX like this is, which is exactly what we're going to go see it in. We're going to see this in an IMAX theater. And now I don't know if they're going to have they're not going to have all the premium formats. I can tell you that, I mean, my theater here, the non-IMAX but has PLF, they're going to have 2 PLFs in there, and one of them is going to be for Mission Impossible. There's no doubt. So I don't know why they would say that, but Lilo and Stitch starts its international rollout today, including majors. So right now, Wednesday, right, and that's typical for international Wednesdays, France, Italy, Korea, the UK, followed by Australia, Brazil, and Mexico on Thursday, among several others. Rounding out the first weekend will be China, like we said. This will be in China, India, Spain, and more on Friday. In total, 50 material markets release this session, with Hong Kong on May 29th, so basically a week from now, and Japan on June 6th, still to come. Japan is notoriously late with opening. I'm glad it's only about 2 weeks this time instead of a month. And don't forget how spectacularly well Tom Cruise action movies do in Japan. I mean, Top Gun Maverick, I think, made like $50 million or $60 million just in Japan. Tom Cruise with Top Gun Maverick, and I don't remember which it was. It might have been Strange World or something like that. But they actually made more money, I think, in France with Top Gun Maverick. They made more money in France with that movie than Disney made with Strange World, I think, over the whole of planet Earth. I think it was Strange World. We made a whole joke about it. This is a couple of years ago now, but it was hilarious. So here we go. Lilo and Stitch merchandise sells around the world. Anticipation is high, though this could skew just slightly more domestic at open. The overseas launch is eyed at 125 million plus. And that's another thing. Lilo and Stitch is going to be probably a very powerful merchandising brand, no doubt. No doubt. Looking at the live action remake comps, Little Mermaid did $65 million in like-for-like markets at today's rates. Cinderella was at $71 million, and Mufasa, The Lion King, started off with $92 million. Cinderella was 15 years ago. The latter came out during the end of the year holidays in 24, saw extended playability. Aladdin did $108 million on its opening offshore weekend, then had crazy legs. Neither Lilo nor Mission have any major holidays to speak of overseas. Okay. So Mission Impossible in China doesn't release till May 30th, so in about a week. Lilo currently leads pre-sales for the weekend. China's a hard one to call. I honestly, Chinese box office doesn't really matter at all anymore. It's really a non-issue except in extremely rare circumstances. Maybe things like Avatar. That's about it. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is looking at $75 to $85 million domestic at 3,846 sites. So they're going to have 3,846 screens compared to Lilo's 4,300 screens, about a 500 screen difference. Previews also started Thursday at 2 p.m. The pick also has about 900 PLFs. There we go. And a smattering of showtimes. In unaided awareness, total awareness, definite interest, Final Reckoning is ahead of 2023's Dead Reckoning, which did 54.6 million over 3 days in what was a 78.4 million 5-day total. So already looking like we're going to start out fairly well ahead, dollar and percentage-wise, ahead of where the last film did. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. 900 PLFs versus I don't know how many Lilo and Stitch in the PLF side has, but the 900 PLFs don't include, 400, 500 IMAX screens. And many of those are going to be found at actual AMC theaters. So again, they've got the exposure there. And of course, those tickets are $22, $23. I think it's like $25 or $27 for a ticket at IMAX if you go after 4 o'clock. So, I mean, so those tickets are going to get real expensive. But that is the kind of movie that you'd want to see on that kind of screen. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning opened to 120 million in like-for-like markets. I think they're talking about international. It was the biggest bow of the franchise, and the film went on to become, excluding China, the highest grosser of the franchise internationally. Just as Cruise consistently tops himself stunt-wise, this installment of his run as Ethan Hunt is expected to reach 125 million in its offshore bow. So we're looking at, and again, they've got some markets like Japan that are very popular that won't come in for another couple of weeks, but 125 plus maybe another 80 million here. So that's why they're thinking a little over $200 million in that 4-day opening. So we'll have to see. I'll be interested to see how this pans out. Of course, by Sunday, we'll have those estimates by the time we get to the Sunday live show there. So stay tuned for that one. But other than that, look, they're still thinking Bloodlines, Final Destination Bloodline is going to be a $23 million second weekend, which with all that new competition and with Bloodline being effectively completely removed from PLFs, they're only going to be in small theaters. That's 55% drop, number one, for a horror movie, and number two, having lost pretty much all of its premium format screens with that 20 to 30% premium pricing. That's an impressive hold. I know it's not as impressive as Sinner's 6% drop in the weekend, too. Again, that is a freaking unicorn. But that's a pretty good hold. And the recommendations for that movie have been very, very good. I think Final Destination is going to hang around for a little bit. Again, it's already made all of its money back in terms of production. It does not have that much more to go in terms of probably recovering its marketing. And that's a movie that is probably going to do well for some time when it comes to long-term streaming revenues with third-party licensing, PVOD, and everything else. The horror crowd and the horror movie fandom is a very, very unique one in terms of their buying habits. So we always kind of take that with a little bit different grain of salt. Okay, there you have it. there you have it. Now, we got some other news articles I'm going to get to here that are in my Apple News. So I'm going to switch that out. But I know we got a couple of super chats here that came in. Appreciate everybody's support out there. You guys pay the bills here for the Renegade Nation. And again, I've got that link up top for the new channel that Marcus spilled the beans on. I just sent it to members. But no, it's out there. We're going to get that to 1,000 subs real quick. We'll have as soon as we get the rest of the channel set up. And again, we're waiting on producing some new graphics and some logos and stuff like that for it. But in the next couple of weeks, I suspect we should be ready to go. And the faster we get that thing monetized, the better. Step one is getting 1,000 subscribers over there. So you guys really need to help me out. If you're watching on X, head over to YouTube and check that, or just watch us here on YouTube. If you're on YouTube now, that link is pinned at the top of the chat. All right. Araxis for 2. We hear you, Dixie, even if VR can't. I know. I could hear her. It was all 3 of them barking. That's why I had to get up and go fix that. I was like, they're just in there screaming at the door, like for minutes and minutes and minutes. And like nobody, they were in their kennels. Nobody was going to check. I had to run in there. I was like, hello, where are my children? You know, like somebody go get these dogs and quiet them down, take them in a room or something. Nobody in this house thinks unless I tell them to think. It drives me nuts. Marcus Quintus for $20. South African president said there was no white farmer genocide taking place. I know. At the meeting at the Oval Office, Trump said, about that, let's watch this video and read some articles. Made him watch the video. Epic FU. I voted for this. Dude, I saw that. I have the clip on X. And yeah, that's that right there. Marcus, that's the perfect example of exactly the sort of content that will be regularly reacted to on the new channel. That's why that's there. So, for example, you know, my buddy Jeremy, he's got Geeks and Gamers, right? And talks about all the pop culture and the gaming news and everything over there. And then he's got CobraCast, right? And that's where he goes and talks about news, current events, and politics. Because that's what YouTube wants you to do. They do not want you to really commingle stuff. And not to say that we can sit here and we can go through the story now. In fact, if I might go through a little bit later. The thing is that then chopping it up and making that a clip for a video and putting it on this channel, it doesn't work. It goofs with the algorithm because it's like, oh, well, it's not really entertainment. And the people that we think want to watch entertainment don't want to watch that. Now, again, during the presidential election and right after, almost nothing mattered on YouTube. Everything was going to hit around that genre. We're past that now. We're several months past that working. So it's now come time to where even if we do talk about some of those things during a live show, those clips might get sent over to Renegade Nation, that new channel. Because eventually the idea here is that I'm kind of going to get back to where the clips from the live shows here are probably going to start showing up more and more over on Renegade Online, which was that clip channel that we had before. I thought about using that for Renegade Nation, but I didn't want to disturb that. I already had something set up to be clips for this. I didn't want to rock the boat. Short-term loss, long-term gain kind of thing, right? Got to be patient with it. It'd be really easy to just go start this off on Renegade Online, and it'd be great. But I don't want to have to take all that content on there down and start over. That's a bigger pain in the butt. So we're leaving Renegade Online alone. So let's see. Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate you, man. Pilgrim Media for 2. What's your favorite wheel gun? Ooh. You know, I don't really use them that much. I don't even think I still own one. I have a friend of mine that's got a bunch. I always go shoot his. There's probably nothing better than a good old classic 357. Smith & Wesson. I mean, it's got to be something like that. It's got to be a Smith & Wesson, or it's got to be there's like a few other ones out there. I mean, as far as who makes them, who really still makes good wheel guns these days, I don't know, man. It's been a while since I really went and looked. But we will. Packing Protons for 5, subscriber number 202. Thank you. Are we already up to 200 subscribers on the new channel? Perfect. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. Good alternative to Cobra Cast when Jeremy can't do a show. I don't think I'm going to live show that much over there, but I might. We might get to the point, depending on how fast you guys. I mean, we need to get it monetized, but I can tell you somebody that probably will really enjoy Renegade Nation, the new channel that we're getting set up right now. For all the politics and cultural commentary. I'm so glad she made it because, man, then I'm Danny, we got some stuff to talk about.
Let's chat. I have like 30 minutes. I'm sorry I have to call it early today. My niece is graduating high school, so I gotta go.
Dude, it's all going on right now. My daughter's got her ring mass tomorrow night. She's at a Catholic high school. So because she's going to be a senior next year. Last day of school tomorrow for everybody else. My oldest daughter in college just finished up this week. I get it. It's chaos. I got 3 of them.
Congratulations to your daughter.
You know,
that's so exciting.
Yep. So yeah, people were asking about, so that like I'd sent it out to members last night. I got a new channel that we're starting called Renegade Nation, and it's just going to be all political commentary, stuff like that. So it's still it's out there. I just don't have anything on it yet. So I figured, well, I'll let the members know. I'll let everybody else know. We got to get to 1,000 subs pretty quick and then do the watch hour. So we'll probably do a live show here or there to try to boost the hours up. But eventually it's really going to be more of a video channel. Yeah. So because, YouTube doesn't like you to mix stuff. Right. So when I talk about entertainment, it'd be like if all of a sudden I took this channel and decided to cover a Carmelo Anthony trial or Karen Reed trial or something like that. It would die. I
hate that they don't let us mix things. I get why they do it. I'm pretty sure it's for advertiser reasons, right? It's much easier to categorize and say, yes, this is all that they do.
It's how their algorithm is built.
I get it. It's just still really annoying because that's what I love. I love to do politics and law because politics is upstream of law always. And so the two are just so closely related. You have to talk about the two together especially when you're talking about policy and, law is really where the policy, sort of hits the road and where stuff actually comes to fruition. So yeah, I'm excited for your new channel.
I would think that would be easy for YouTube. Like if you just listed it as, a blog channel or something, and you talked about law and court cases and that would go hand in hand. But I mean, I get why they don't want me to do it because I talk about box office and I talk about, stupid things that Disney is doing. And then if I all of a sudden swing over into talking about, South African white farmer genocide and Donald Trump clowning that dude in the, because we just got a super chat on that as how that, like right before you popped in, one of our channel members was asking about, did you see this thing Trump did today? I was like, yes. And I said, that's what led me into, that's exactly the sort of conversation, the reaction video that's going to be on Renegade Online or Renegade Nation. So
I see.
Yeah. So that's how we got into that.
But you can't help but love that. Like that man is just walking entertainment at a minimum. Like, listen, is he the devil? Sure. Maybe. Is he really devilishly hilarious and charming and entertaining? Hell yeah. No one's going to argue with that.
No, they're not. So there were a number. Well, let me see if I can find it real quick. I think I did. Let's just watch it while you're here. You've got a few minutes. There's 2 things
we have to watch it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just do it. Let me switch back over.
Live trolling too. So this falls under the live trolling category for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing is like, if I change topics on a live show, it's really not that big a deal. What makes it a big deal is that if I then get Jonas to clip us talking about this, and then he puts it as a video clip on the main channel, it poops. It screws things up. Now, if he takes that clip and then he slings it over to the new channel, it's okay. So that's kind of the idea. All right. Let me get my Chrome tab back up here.
Well, and this is what you saw the Elon Musk version of this, right? Earlier this week.
No, I don't think remind me. I don't know if I did.
So he was in the middle of doing, I think it was an economic summit, and the woman interviewer was like, "Hey, so why aren't you in South Africa?" And he goes, "Is it true or not that you have to be Black in order to be given a license?" And she said, "Well, and he goes, "It is true." He goes, "Do you think that's a good policy?" And she goes, "Well, I'm not the one to answer that." And he goes, "Excuse me?" He goes, I didn't ask you that. I said, do you think it's a good policy that you have to be Black in order to receive this license? And yeah, it's crazy. Like I'm glad he called her out on it. I'm really glad that like people are starting to speak out about this stuff.
That's
Honestly.
so bizarre. I had this at the top of the order, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull it up. Did you know now, Danny, that we've got radical trans activists are flying a giant transgender flag at Yosemite National Park to promote the idea that trans is natural and to protest Trump.
It's literally the opposite of natural.
So I want
Oh
you
my
to
gosh.
Unfurled it on the side of El Cap to prove a point that trans is natural. The Trump administration and some carry hate. We carry the largest trans pride flag to ever be flown in a national park.
No, I didn't want to warn
unfurled
you.
it on the side of El Cap to prove a point that trans is natural.
This is on the side of El Capitan, like the most famous peak in Yosemite.
They should be arrested. You can't pull this shit. Imagine if people pulled out MAGA flags and put it on the side of El Capitan.
Right. How much
These are
outrage
our
would there be
public
for that?
lands. This is a public park, a national park.
I have completely freaked the chat out because I didn't want to give anybody a warning with that. I don't even know if that guy's real. Like it's like okay, let's back it up. This okay, come on. That is a, I swear to God, that is a straight dude that is clowning right now. Like somebody's trolling.
No,
Like-
he shaved his arms. He's
No,
hold on,
I
let me
still,
look.
there's still, and he's got a full mustache that the
Yeah.
carpet matches the drapes. Danny, come on.
But
this
the
is
makeup
crazy.
was a lot of work. Like this is hold on, let me zoom in.
I know, right? Do you really want to zoom in?
No, that's good makeup. Like that's talent. That's someone who's worked at this for a couple of years.
I mean, this is. I looked at this and I'm thinking to myself, part of me thinks somebody, because that's over the top, man. That's just completely over. It looks so stupid. Like he's not even trying.
It looks like a fetish. That's exactly
We
what
carry
it
the
looks like.
largest
Come on.
trans pride
Look
flag
at
to ever be
this-
flown
look at this
in a national
shorts. Wait,
I
back
know.
up, back up, back up.
I know. I can't even.
He's wearing climbing gear.
I,
Oh my gosh, that's a harness. And he's got his little trans flag tucked better than his manhood.
I know. I just be careful with that harness, man. It'll pinch your balls.
I mean, free surgery.
people are asking if that's Pedro Pascal. No, we'll get to him. He's next.
Let's go.
I know.
Let's go.
I know Danny knows what I'm talking about already. We have special footage that nobody's ever seen before.
The largest trans pride flag to ever be flown in a national park, and unfurled it on the side of El Cap to prove a point that trans is natural. The Trump
Okay, was the flag naturally produced? No, you brought it up there. It was artificially inserted onto the side of the mountain. That makes no sense.
Listen, you can call trans a bunch of things. You cannot call it natural. It is the literal, that is an abomination of the term natural. It is a literal natural abomination. It is so opposite of natural. You can't, I'm sorry, but putting fake titties into a man's chest, right, and chopping off his manhood is not natural. It's the furthest thing you can get from natural out there. Now, you want to be a cross-dresser. Yes, I believe that there are men who've wanted to dress like women, who enjoy dressing like women for a long time, but that is performative and they're playing a stereotype. Transgender, the reason the whole trans thing is so offensive to me is because it's creating a stereotype of women and saying woman equals this, whatever that was, right? Whatever that was, that's woman. And it's never man equals this. Right? You don't see the same argument. You don't see people saying, well, what is a man? The question is what is a woman? And the question is always, the answer is always, well, anything other than man is woman. That's the answer. Anything other than man is woman. And it's like,
not wrong.
Well, wait a second. Whoa, hold on, feminists. I thought we weren't defining ourselves based on men anymore. I thought that we were past this. I thought we were past if no peen, then woman. That's old sexist thinking. I'm just so tired of this nonsense. It's offensive.
Well, I mean, that's what we get. I mean, I don't think the problem is that you have to keep moving the goalposts in order to keep up with everything. I mean, because that's what they do. And as soon as one thing gets disproven, they're going to come up with another wacky off the wall theory. But yeah, so that's what we got here. So let's go through the rest of this real quick.
Administration and transphobes
Let this flag fly higher than hate.
would love to have you believe that being trans is unnatural, but species that can transition sexes can be found on every continent and in every ocean on planet Earth. So
But not humans.
No, you're wrong, sir. Did you find trans
I'm losing.
species? Every species is trans. Every species is trans. Is that what I heard?
I think he said there are species on every continent and every ocean.
I've got to hear this again. Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. Go ahead.
unnatural, but species that can transition sexes can be found on every continent and in every ocean on planet Earth.
So yeah, he's saying there are some species everywhere on Earth that can do this.
No, that is
No.
untrue. That is verifiably actually untrue. Is he talking about plants? Or is he talking about, is he talking flora or fauna? And if
he just says species. For all I know, he could be talking about bacteria. Yeah.
If he's talking fauna, then that's not true. Especially if he's talking mammals. Like, this is such a subcategory of stupid for him. People are dumb. By the way, there is only like one or two species of fish that actually transition from male to female. Okay. One or two. And they don't do it because they feel like it, because that's who they are inside. They do it as a product of necessity.
Yeah. And don't forget, Danny, it's not even June yet.
You know what I'm so grateful for? I am praying for one thing. I've kept praying this. Dear God, please, if I'm going to have a preemie, let it be in May. Please, dear God, just get me past June. Please, Lord. That's all I want.
I'm going to send you a rainbow onesie.
God, if you do that, I'll burn it. I'll burn it. I'll be like, you heretic.
I'm sending you one now just to make you burn it on camera on a live show.
Blasphemy.
I have
Someone
an idea.
will come after me and say it's hate speech, and then you know what I'll do? I'll burn a Quran for the funsies. And then I'll take a Book of Mormon, I'll burn that. I'll take a Bible for the hell of it, throw it on top of the pyre. Let's go.
I like the South Park attitude. We offend everybody equally.
Everybody.
$100 from Doc Hollywood. I had to break in for this one. Are you going to have a different intro for the new channel? Perry Chan does some good ones. Just saying. Oh, dude, I would love to ask. I tell you what, that ain't a bad idea. But the only thing is that I don't know if Perry works exclusively with Gary at Nerdrotic and the Geeks and Gamers guys for FNT or what the case is. But I mean, I'll reach out to him. That's actually not a bad idea. Perry's really good, which means Perry's probably also really expensive too. But I'll find out. I'm thinking about it. I've got our buddy Steven is working on creating a variant of the VR logo that you see here on the main channel for the new channel when we get there. But this kind of clip that we're doing right now, talking about stuff like this is exactly the kind of stuff that goes on to Renegade Nation. Thank you so much, Doc Hollywood, for the $100 super chat. Thank you guys for helping us pay the bills around.
Can be found on every continent and in every ocean on planet Earth. So call it a protest, call it a celebration. We are bringing elevation to liberation. They try to erase us from government websites and education systems and libraries. So we raise this flag higher than ever before, so every trans person knows that they have people that love them in their corner. The people united will never be defeated. Some carry hate.
I can't.
I carry hate. I carry hate. I'm admitting it right now. I hate this shit. I hate lies. If there is one thing I hate, Valiant, if there is one thing I hate more than anything, it's lying.
Yeah.
It is lying.
You know what I hate? Is people like this that are predatory towards, youngins.
Oh, and he is, because he
them.
just said we're erased off of government websites. I went and I looked up the website he's talking about. You know what he's talking about? He's talking about DHS, or no, not DHS, CDC. So the CDC website had a whole thing on transgender youth. They were surveying students and asking students whether or not they had considered their own gender, whether or not they had thought about, are they a boy or a girl? And then telling students and giving them resources to outside clinics and educating students on how to receive hormone replacement therapy without their parents' consent. That was on the CDC website. That was the survey that they were handing out to superintendents nationwide to have it be filled out by teachers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want my kids exposed to. And look, we've said it before. I posted this on X the other day. So some of the worst people that you have to fear when it comes to your children are the ones that get out of college with education majors standing at the front of their classroom, because they're so indoctrinated from that standpoint, and that's all they're pushing to do. All right, I've got the clip here. Let me pull this in. So
sorry, I'm going full radical today. I didn't expect this, but there you go.
No, that's why it's fun to have you on. The audience tends to like it. Look, because this is the thing. A lot of the people that watch us talk about the stuff that Disney does and whatnot, and Hollywood does, or throw in whatever. I mean, apart from talking about box office and successes and failures and covering the entertainment industry, unfortunately, as I stated years ago, it's almost impossible to separate politics from the entertainment industry in Hollywood because they're so imbued with it, and they're so dedicated to it, and they're so dedicated to one radical ideology of it. You cannot have discussions about what's going on in Hollywood. You cannot have discussions about why certain businesses are struggling like they are without acknowledging the fact that most of them have taken radical left-leaning political slants over the years and have pissed off significant portions of their audience. So, I mean, that's kind of always been the issue. But so here we've got this clip. So, Danny, why don't you set us up? So what happened today? They got a little visit in the Oval Office from a delegation from South Africa.
That's my understanding. And so there was a argument about whether or not, they have these racist policies, and whether or not his party in particular, and prior presidents and prior administrations in South Africa have come out with anti-white rhetoric and anti-white policies. And what Trump decided to do was, instead of arguing about it, he said, roll the clip. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, they got tired of it. And here's the clip.
Turn the lights down. Turn the lights down. And just put this on. It's right.
Look at his face.
Yeah.
What's going on?
He's like, oh, we're about to watch a Pedro Pascal video. No, I don't think that's what's about to happen here. I turned the volume up on this one. It might be, y'all let me know. Hang on.
I'll silence myself. Hold on.
No. You don't have to. I want to make sure. Oh, this monitor is killing me. I got a new one coming.
Parliament can do, with or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever we want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are.
So what he's showing, and hopefully if y'all can hear it all right, he's showing all of these clips of members of the South African government, South African parliament, saying exactly what the president here in the Oval Office, this president of South Africa, is claiming doesn't exist or nobody's talking about. And he's just literally here. Okay, here's y'all saying exactly what you're telling me you ain't saying. Sorry, people in the chat. Okay, y'all having trouble hearing. I couldn't, like I said, my volume level is probably different than y'all's. Let me.
Yeah, I can't hear it.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm gonna push this up further. I don't know. That might even be worse. Still can't hear it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's the feed. I mean, you can hear it some or not at all.
I can faintly hear it. So if
Okay.
I'm quiet and turn up the volume all the way, and then we can.
Okay.
Maybe that's the answer.
It's probably just that clip. It's probably just that clip. Let me see if I can find. Let me see here. They had a. All right, let me just skip ahead. Basically, he's showing him everything he needs to see, and then Trump starts talking again. Let me skip ahead to that part because I think you can hear that well enough. I'll have to. I thought this when I'm listening to it through the headphones, the clip sounded fine, but apparently when it's pumping through StreamYard, it's not doing as well. How does this sound?
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white.
All right, so if y'all, hopefully y'all can hear that one better. But what Trump is doing, he's explaining to the gallery, the folks in the room, the press, and everybody there, what this helicopter, this aerial footage that's a few feet away from him on this big screen TV is showing. And first he was showing the clips of all the politicians there saying that this is what we want to do to white farmers in South Africa. And there's this whole kerfuffle that we let, I don't even remember what it was, 50, 60, it was 100 or less. I think we had folks come in from South Africa into the United States last week. And of course, liberals lost their freaking minds over it because they were white. Again, but the conservatives are the racist ones, of course. But what Trump is pointing out here is he's showing is like this line of cars that's coming in. These are all mass, right next to that are all these mass grave sites, and all these crosses people are bringing in is because of, represents a family member, loved one, a friend, somebody that was hunted down and killed in this country. And I'm talking about the G word, which I don't even know if you can say on YouTube, Geno syrup. You know what I'm saying?
The select all delete button.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that one. And he's explaining to like, well, okay, you say it's not going on, it's not. It's okay. Here's satellite footage. Here's helicopter footage. Here's all the bodies.
White farmers, the family of white farmers, and those cars aren't driving. They're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who's killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road, you have crosses.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, just to kind of give you an idea, that's what we're talking about. Now, I'm going to try to pull up, see if I have a little bit different perspective here. I thought that.
Do you want to hear the headline?
Yeah, please.
From MSNBC?
Oh God, MSNBC. Wait. Should I look it up? Wait, let me look it up. Don't tell me. I bet I can find it. Hang on. I'm gonna wait. Let me just be disgusted.
Yeah, I'm disgusted.
Is it on? If it's on, is it on their homepage?
It is.
Oh God, please. Oh, why did you make me look this up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we're commentators.
All right, chat. Who can take a guess at what MSNBC's headline is for this? Oh, wait, the pop-up ad just happened. I'm glad it happened off screen. Holy shit. Baseless white Geno Smith claim. Intense meeting Come on. There's
He
literally-
pushes the claim. He pushes the claim. Notice they don't put in there Trump plays clip. The headline, I can fix this for them. Trump plays headline or Trump plays clip to support claim of white geosmithing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the headline because that is what happened. That is actually what happened. You can't spin this into what they're spinning this into.
I love the byline underneath it. He'd hoped to persuade his American counterpart that many of his assumptions are wrong. That didn't go well. I suspect it didn't. Donald Trump's interest in South Africa reached a new level as his administration made a dramatic exception to its opposition of refugees and welcomed a group of white South Africans. The president repeatedly insisted that their race was irrelevant and that he's really just a humanitarian concerned about people in distress, but the defense was literally unbelievable. Oh, no. He used the word literally because it's like a teenager wrote this. Yeah, so I can't even read through. I just can't even right now. I don't even want to. Holy crap.
Well, it's insane because for how long has the refugee program been abused by literally every nation?
Mhm.
You know who wasn't accepted as a refugee? My Chinese teacher during the communist revolution. He was Christian and he was a target of persecution as a Christian and as a professor in China, and he wasn't accepted as a refugee to the United States. He had to go through the whole visa process a completely separate way, and it's shocking to me. The people who need the refugee program the most are never able to access it, and this is my issue with illegal immigration. This is my issue with the abuse of the system. Is it puts people who have legitimate claims who we want under that program to be rescued. It just sets them back further and further down the line. It's like it's line skipping. And so, here they are spending money, hoping against hope. I mean, where was the emphasis on moving Christians out of Iraq?
Yeah.
Or out of Afghanistan after the fall of Afghanistan? You remember all the Yazidi women? And they had it right there. There was proof the Yazidis were being, Control-Alt-Deleted.
Coptic Christians too.
Coptic Christians.
Yeah.
And there was just nothing, no movement to get them out of there. Nothing.
Yeah, no. And this was the actual video. So the White House posted this on X. I should have just gone and looked there. So this is the actual piece.
There's nothing this parliament can do with or without you. People are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land.
Yes.
South African occupy land. That's who we are.
Honorable member,
want to do, you can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament.
Honorable. Yes, honorable member.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing because the killing is part of a revolutionary act.
Yep. Okay. Not happening though. It's not happening. That'll give you some idea. And then you can see here a little bit closer up when they swing to this helicopter footage. Let me go. I mean, you get the idea what all these different folks that they have from Parliament, political leaders are saying. Let me turn that down because that's really loud now. This is just, we don't need the helicopter noise. But you can see here. They didn't just make it up. You think some rando just went out there and made all these crosses and stuck them on the side of the road for what? For show? And pretending that 1,000 people have been disappeared? I kind of doubt it. That's a lot, dude. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. And the other people who don't usually qualify as refugees and aren't protected by the Department of State, you know who they are? the Uyghurs in China, and you can make rows upon rows of those white crosses. And that will get close to how many have been Control-Alt-Deleted. And you didn't see any other administration going hard against China ever. Do you know why? Because the money was more important to them than the actual slavery going on. Massive slavery. We're talking massive labor camps that are specifically designed to target a people, a religion, and a political belief. And I mean, it's just crazy to me. Do you remember when Xi Jinping was escorted into San Francisco? Xi
That's been a
Jinping.
while.
So this was November 2023, I think, or maybe December. November 2023. He was invited by Governor Newsom to come to California. Well, you know how San Francisco has a serious homeless problem. If you don't know, now you know. It's everywhere. Okay. People are camping on the streets so much that there are no streets that are navigable by car at this point. But overnight, all of the tent cities disappeared. Overnight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Overnight. And you
It's
know
going to
what
happen
his
again
comment-
for the Olympics. Yeah.
You know what his comment was? He said, "Oh, well, we don't want our house to be dirty. We need to clean up for when our friends come to visit." And I was like, "Oh, so treating humans like garbage. Did Xi Jinping teach that one to you?" I mean, it's just disgusting. And he came and there were people lining the street singing patriotic CCP songs with their communist flags. And like, it was just astounding to me. Astounding to me. And it's like, wait a second. So you're mad at Trump for talking to Kim Jong-un, who is objectively less evil than Xi Jinping and the CCP. Objectively so. By the numbers, by the actual, like, by virtue of how evil. And then you have Disney.
I was just about to say
the CCP for the labor camps.
the audience here knows that story because that's right. They filmed the live action remake of Mulan right next to one of those camps where you go to think real hard. Yeah.
I can't. That's well,
Death
and that's when I
camps.
left Disney for good. That's when I stopped watching any new Disney product. I stopped purchasing from them, anything at all. That was the tipper for me. That was the one that tipped me over the edge. I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I believe it. I definitely believe it. So I wanted to get to the Pedro story before you had to go, because this is too funny. So I mean, this is something we talked about a ways back. This was at a premiere, and if not a premiere, but an event for the Fantastic Four, which will be premiering about 2 months from now in July. And it was kind of one of those moments, one of those first moments you really see like Pedro's weird. Now he said that this, he's got like some serious on the spectrum anxiety issues, something crazy, and he gets touchy-feely, and Vanessa Kirby there, who's playing Sue Storm to his Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four. It's like you see he grabs his hand and pulls him down. I know we all wondered at the time, like it's weird. But he's had a lot of weird behavior since then. We covered some the other day. And his whole thing about
the back of her arm.
Yeah, I know. And it's in like a really like a weird way. It's just that's what it just, and her reaction is what kind of sells it for me as something ain't right.
No, she's grabbing his hand and pulling it down like, no, stop. And you know what?
Yeah.
That's the excuse I'm going to use the next time I get a corporate job. When I get pulled into HR, that's what I'm going to say. I'm somewhere on the spectrum, so please forgive me for my inappropriate comments.
Exactly. It's like, don't blame me. I didn't mean to grab your tit. I just can't help myself. I want to start using that from now on. especially with my wife. Sorry,
like,
I just can't help it. Yeah, exactly. So it gets weirder. So again, this is a $300 million movie. There are now reports that there's a couple of people reporting that there were some significant reworks in this film. Shocky make Shockerton. It's a Disney movie. They can't get anything done correctly the first time. So we're probably looking at, as we were talking about earlier, Mission Impossible, that comes out tomorrow and Friday. I've got tickets already for that. It's somewhere reportedly between a $300 and $400 million production cost. Not surprising considering what they do in those movies, and they shoot in 12 different countries around the earth. Fantastic Four is probably going to be in that same range. It's probably going to need around $800 million to break even. And people are getting really sick of Pedro Pascal. I mean, they kind of have been. He's been on this kick, and I don't think it's going to help Disney, given the fact that this movie is going to open right after Pride Month ends, and Pedro Pascal is going to be all up in that business. Okay. So the thing is, we have this crazy video. And here it is. I don't know what this was, what it was attached to. I don't know what's going on. There's a whole lot of rainbow stuff in here. But here he is, Din Djarin from The Mandalorian, another $400 million production probably coming out next summer from Disney starring Pedro Pascal. $400 million production of the Fantastic Four starring Pedro Pascal. And here's Pedro. He is enjoying himself. He's doing, okay. There's Pedro. Just doing stuff. He's, what is wrong with this man?
I don't think anything. I mean, is he out of the closet gay?
We're not aware.
Well, then he's gay, and he's happy. Look how happy he is. He's living his best gay life. And there's nothing wrong with that, folks. The problem is when you parade as one thing or the other, and you're actually something else. Like, it's the inauthenticity that's the sin, the online sin, at least. I don't personally care one way or the other. He may be indulged in some substances as well. I mean,
yeah, no, I agree with you all there. My point is that Disney has not had a good run lately of actors doing them any favors that headline their multi-hundreds of millions of dollars of production movies. We just had it with Snow White, where Rachel Zegler she went a long way herself to wreck that movie. Although part of it is on Disney, number one, for casting her in the first place, and number two, for making the production such a giant disaster, they had to go back and do it over again. You've had other ones out there where they either cast the wrong people because they're trying to hit corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion metrics, or they're casting people like Pedro, who is very politically outspoken. Trump supporters, according to Pedro, are all Nazis. They're all Klansmen. He's posted this before. Again, remember, at the same time that Gina Carano was vamoosed from Disney, Disney said, well, we didn't want to have her around anymore. I mean, they said this in their motion to dismiss. We get to pick and choose, and Gina Carano's basically what they were saying was her expressions and her opinions on things don't align to Disney values. So ostensibly, Pedro Pascal does when he comes out and he says Trump supporters are Nazis and Trump supporters are, Confederate Klansmen and all this other kind of stuff. And he said a lot of really nasty things out there about more than half the country. Doesn't seem to matter to Disney because at least what he's expressing is what they think. But then he goes out and this is out there. From my perspective, it's not doing them any favors at all. And we had a slightly different version because didn't want to use the music from this because it's probably copyrighted. So I was forced, Danny, to come up with something that we could have a little bit of music to it to get the feel for.
I want to remind everyone that this is absolutely not gay.
Okay, so yeah, we have that.
Again, nothing wrong with that.
Stewie Griffin was having a good time.
I am sad that EDM has become synonymous with gay and lesbian and LGBTQ, but whatever, it's fine. It's fine. Usually when you go to one of those festivals, you're so high on whatever substance, no one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares about anything. That was great. That was great. I didn't know I needed that today.
Yeah, I see people talking about it. I think, yeah, Tom Connors did do some kind of track. I think he tagged me in it. I forgot. I didn't have time to go grab it, and maybe I'll fix that for Sunday, and I'll stick it to this track. But yeah, this is the thing though. Pedro is he's so bizarre, and in the context of, to me, I look at this. He can do whatever he wants. I don't care. Pedro Pascal wants to go out there and lick on rainbow dildos in this case all day long. Fine. But to me, it's the hypocrisy that I cannot stand from companies like Disney out there that say that, oh, they want to do this and oh, they want to do that. And yet they continue to engage with actors that not just do stuff like this, but then they go out and they go on political warpaths about certain things.
Stupid warpaths. Stupid warpaths. Of all the paths to go on, don't go on a political one. You know, it's like the idiots who are going around destroying Teslas. I'm like, why didn't you start with Volkswagens? Meanwhile, Volkswagen's just staring.
The actual Nazi car. Yeah.
Don't look at us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, granted, look, we know. I say that tongue in cheek. You know, I don't think there aren't actual Nazis running Volkswagen in 2025, but that is how the car company.
As we know.
As far as we know.
How did they start? How did they get there?
That is how they started. That is how they started. So
you know,
that was almost 100 years ago. But Packing sent me okay, wait, let me see this. Let me try to pull it up. As long as it doesn't have any music I don't recognize, because I have to be leery about that. But Packing says he sent me a Pedro edit that I may enjoy. I will check that out. Let me grab a couple of these real quick. Archer Merchant for $5. I booked my ticket for Mission Impossible Final Reckoning in the 4D experience. First ever 4DX. But from what I've seen, seats rumble and move during explosions and crashes. Yeah, I've not been to one, apart from like doing rides and whatnot at Universal where they have those 4D type rides. But yeah, that's my understanding. They have a lot of I remember 25 years ago, you could find these things. They were from a company called Aura. And the Aura Pro bass shakers, and we used to sell these and try to design it, but you take a couch and then you would insert this. It's a low frequency transducer, but instead of like a traditional giant woofer, it just took the low frequencies inside of a casing and created the frequencies. So when you're sitting on the sofa and a bomb went off, you'd feel the extra impact from it. So
that's cool.
Those theaters do have that kind of stuff out there. There's just not that many of them. So that's really cool. Marcus Quintus for $2. Please tell me you're going to do WNBA commentary. I'm not gonna comment on the games. But I'm going to assume you're talking about like the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese stuff.
That's what they're talking about. I think. I don't think they expect you to sit through a game. If you do, you guys need to pay more than what you paid them for Snow White.
Yeah, no, $500 is not even enough for that shit.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. Because look, Angel Reese is from LSU. I'm from Louisiana. We're very we've known about Angel Reese longer than any of y'all have. So. Yes, certainly that's the kind of stuff that would be on the new channel, because I do think there's absolutely a lot of hypocrisy over there, and it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm going to get in trouble if I make that comment, but it's not necessarily wrong. But there may not be a huge difference between the situation that's in South Africa right now and
Oh, that's a big one. That's a naughty.
I'm not really wrong though.
How dare you draw a parallel?
Anyway, it's not. My point is that I think there's I'm not saying anybody is gonna kill anybody in the WNBA. Let me make that very clear. Little tongue-in-cheek humor here, but it's not far off. In all seriousness, I think it's because it is very racially charged is the problem. That's the bottom line. Is that there is, and you can't tell me there's not in the WNBA. Please don't try to make that point, because it's simply ridiculous to the amount of the white basketball players out there in the WNBA that are going on these apology tours for basically being white and saying, I'm so proud to be here in a sport that black women have pioneered. I'm like, oh my God. It's like as if as if nobody watched the WNBA before. That's a good way to get whoever's left to check out the door, because that's not what they want to watch sports ball for. Remember, I mean, how bad did the NBA get punished for BLM? How badly did the NFL get punished for a couple of years for BLM?
I stopped watching baseball because of the BLM shit, mostly because I'm dyslexic. So now every time I see MLB, it reminds me of how they put BLM on the mound. And I'm like, you son of a bitches.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, that's the kind of commentary we will definitely be doing over there. Bad News Badger for 50 Danish krona. The magic trick with trans spices. They are still able to perform according to their perceived gender. Oh, trans species. Sorry, I don't know why I said spices. I'm an idiot. The magic trick with trans species, they're still able to perform according. Yeah. Okay. Well, then that's what I'm saying. You can take anything that's out there and try to warp it and twist it with mental gymnastics to fit whatever nonsense that you're trying to get across. But when it's so obviously wrong, no, there's not a plethora of species out there that just push a button and change. No, unless we're talking about what bacteria, like you said, plants or something along those lines.
Or wrasse. The Japanese, I think it's called like the white-headed wrasse or something. That's about it.
Yeah. What other mammal does this? None that I'm aware of. So I don't think we're there. Nightwalker Medicine gifted a Valiant Renegade channel membership. Thank you, sir. Marcus Quintus F PMS NBC for $2. And John S for 10. There it is. First paragraph, Trump is racist. Yes, that in the MSNBC article. Absolutely. Jackson Cagle became a YouTube channel member. Welcome aboard. Nightwalker Medicine for 5. VR and Danny, if either of you listen to Eric Prince's podcast, Off Leash, he does some great breakdowns on both China and South Africa. Not heard of him, but I'll put him on the list. Try to check him out one day. Thank you very much for the heads up, dude. John S for 5. Please look up Please Excuse My Hands and play it for your wife. Is that a song? Or is that a comedy routine? Or is it
I feel like it's a song.
Or it's a porno or something. You tell me, John S. What am I looking up there? I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want it in my search history. Packing Protons for 2. VR sent you Pedro edit you might enjoy. Yes, we got that one earlier. I'll have to let me check that one out after the show. Maybe we'll use that Sunday. I don't want to do it right now, but needless to say that yeah, look, my thing is, like I said, with stuff like this, going back to Pedro real quick to kind of wrap up, do what you want, whatever, but this is not helping right now for Disney, because I think we're hitting, or I think a lot of audiences out there, because I'm seeing more and more posts. My God, this guy is in freaking everything. We're reaching a point where audiences are getting Pedro fatigue. And I don't think stuff like this is going to do him any favors. I think the biggest problem that you have with, a superhero movie, especially one when you're desperately, and I mean desperately, trying to get audiences to show back up for these things, because the audiences for these movies, especially these Marvel movies, have completely collapsed. And I don't know if I've talked to a single person right now that believes that Fantastic Four is going to beat Superman this summer. Because those are the two head-to-head. Right, exactly. A lot of people are interested to see what this new generation of DC is going to look like. They're curious. They want to go see it. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of any sort of excitement for Fantastic Four. And you get Pedro Pascal, who's seemingly wearing on everybody's nerves. And then here's a new video of him doing this stuff, and where everybody is about to get absolutely exasperated for the month of June for 30 days. I mean, the bulk of America is just about to start rolling their eyes and get more pissed off every day that more of the Pride Month stuff is going to get shoved in everyone's faces. Thank God that Pride Month doesn't happen during the school year, because I think, honestly, it would be over. Like Pride Month would end in a week. There'd be so much outrage from parents out there. I think it'd finally push them over the edge if that was during a school year. But I don't think Pedro's helping himself. And I don't think Disney's looking at this video going, he's He's living his best gay life. Good for him. I think Disney's looking at this thing going, oh, shit.
I don't think they are. I don't think they are. I think they drink their own Kool-Aid.
No. I think from a marketing standpoint, they are.
Sure.
They
Yeah.
Because they're looking at this going, that's not going to help this $400 million movie. And they will never come out and like, look, Disney knew. They knew months before Snow White came out, it was going to be a disaster. It was going to be an absolute disaster. They knew it. And there were even people out there in the Hollywood trades coming, and I'm talking the major trades, the THRs, the varieties, the deadlines, coming right out and saying, literally verbatim saying in articles, Disney just wants to get this over with. Like they knew in advance. And I think this continued behavior of Pedro, especially if it kind of gets worse and worse. Like we covered a story from him the other day. He's making some weird comments out there this past weekend about there's some stuff I can't say, or I can say it, but I'm going to get in trouble. Probably because he got it talking to after all the Rachel Ziegler stuff. And he had this weird kind of bizarre rambling comment. We covered it on the Sunday show. It seems like we're going to get a string of failures from him between now and when this movie opens, and I'm here for it. Just FYI.
I don't see him in enough stuff to hate him. I saw him in Game of Thrones, and my recollection is his face got smashed in like a watermelon. So,
yes,
to me, whenever I think of anything negative about him, I bring back the visual and I kind of chuckle and I move on. And I enjoy him. Generally, I actually enjoy him. I don't like.
Oh yeah.
I don't like when anybody gets political in the entertainment sphere. You want to get political in other spheres, commentary, whatever, go for it, right? But in entertainment, it's like, no, I go to be entertained. I go to escape the real life. I'm enough of a political junkie. I don't need any more. So
right.
Yeah, it's that's a shame. But I love you. I love you guys. And I have to head out, but we should talk about the IVF bomber, the IVF clinic bomber at some point on your new channel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know that's the story I just saw from the last few days that happened. Yeah. That's the one. Okay. That's the one I'm thinking of.
I'm obsessed with it because I've been talking about the death cult for a long time, and that there is a very strong and heavy death cult presence. Whether that be in college, I saw it in college. I saw a lot of this type of rhetoric being used in college. The world's overpopulated, people, it's immoral to exist. It's immoral to force existence upon someone. I mean, it's crazy. And it's just getting worse and worse to the point that, some guy online who's clearly very unwell, but who made his online personality, his whole personality, goes and blows up these clinics and in hopes of destroying the futures of all these couples. It's just so demonic. Anyway, I love you, man. Thank you so much for having me on again.
Thanks for hanging out, Danny.
Sorry, I promise I'm not this radical. It's not even radical. That's the crazy thing. I think I'm normal. I'm normal. I'm sorry. My Overton window never shifted, okay? I'm never going to buy into this nonsense. I'm in a mixed race marriage. I don't believe in this whole racist undercurrent, overcurrent, whatever. I'm done. We were over that in the 90s. We are the world. We are the children. Okay. I'm over it. Okay. Much love.
Take care, Danny. We'll see you soon. Danny Ann Direct. Make sure you guys go check her out on her YouTube channel and on X. Danny Ann Direct. And I think probably we had some mods probably dropping her link in the chat. So glad she could join us today. I wasn't sure she was going to be able to make it. But like I said, I think with this new channel, trying to get a little sense of some routine scheduling here, we'll have that. Let me see if I can look it up real quick, and I'll put the link in the chat just in case, because I haven't. Let's see. Bear with me 1 second. Coming your way, because I don't know if we have any of our mods here today. Good Lord. Come on, window. All right. I'm going to put her link in the chat. There we go. All right, just threw it in there. And again, make sure you're subbing to the new channel. The link is at the top of the chat, pinned at the chat for the new channel for Renegade Nation. We'll be having kind of more of the, and again, the idea of the channel is going to be doing some, overwhelmingly, it's going to be kind of quick commentary on stories from, politics and news, kind of hard news stuff, kind of quick reaction stuff. Think of the quartering kind of thing, that sort of bit. Just things that don't fit here on the regular Valiant Renegade channel. And then I think eventually we will get to a point where, maybe we have, and we might have to do it up front to get the watch hours on the new channel up to where they need to be, because you still need 4,000 watch hours. So we're going to figure something out over there. We may do simulcast streaming. So once I get live streaming turned on over there, I may, we might have some here on the main channel, some over there, just to see how it works out. So just stay tuned for that. We'll keep you posted. But okay, let me get back to a couple other stories that I wanted to hit here. There was a number of things I kind of wanted to cover, but this is so weird. I'm just going to mention this. I have no idea what's going on here. It's not like I tend to follow a lot of porn stars, but I'm chink. But I saw this because our friend Brett had reposted this. Bonnie Blue, who I think she's one of the chicks that, who was the other one? Was it like Lily or something? Whatever. Her and this Bonnie chick, aren't they in like some kind of competition to see how many guys they can sleep with in a 24-hour period? Like it started with 100 and then was 1,000 or so. I was like, it's gross. But apparently Bonnie got arrested today. Don't know what's going on there. Probably health code violations. I don't know, but I had that in the chain. I don't know why that was up there. I think because Brett DeSovic had posted it. There were, oh God, can we? I forgot. I wanted to show y'all. This goes with one of the stories because I mentioned this the other day, and thank you to the Bugle Daily. I think he made this. Netflix, as many of you have probably been made aware, has acquired the streaming rights to Sesame Street. Now, people ask about this. Sesame Street, they kind of went woke years ago. So don't think that Netflix is going to be the one that's going to push the woke button on them. It already happened. But Bugle Daily made this, and he posted it under the announcement, and I thought this was too freaking hilarious not to show it, but there it is. I think he also did he was race swapping all the characters in case you hadn't figured it out. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. That's just funny as hell right there. But this was the idea behind it. And I had posted about this. I think Leah Thomas. There's the Pedro thing. See a lot of the stuff that's on here. Oh, I love this. Here we go. Pedro Pascal. I thought this was great. Somebody sent me this. Who sent me this? Wait, who was it? I don't know who that guy is. But thank you, Twiggy, for sending me this.
Life is good, but it can be better.
Oh, God. Come on, man. Y'all are great. Y'all are absolutely awesome. There's so many good things out there. But let me get to some of this. Let me get to some of the actual news side of things here. Speaking of the Sesame Street side, and of course, when this thing freaked out, I think I lost some of these. But thank God I saved them. So bear with me 1 second. Let's see. Let me pull these up. I tell you what, while I'm pulling these up, Y'all can watch this because this was funny. Should I do a podcast? Wait, let me find. Here it is.
Who lives at my house.
Okay, wait. This is, oh man, that's so loud compared to, I hate the variance and the volume on these things. It is. Here we go. I'm into these baby things right now. These are hilarious. These baby AI famous movie recreations of scenes. I've been playing these as clips. This is the new one. This was cracking me up. So let me throw this up here while I'm pulling these other articles back up again, because this is just too damn good. I need to do a podcast like this.
Welcome to the Talking Baby podcast. On today's episode, we'll be talking to the weird-looking person who lives at my house. Thanks for being here, weird-looking person.
Well, thanks for having me. As you know, you are my third favorite person in the world, third behind the two larger people that we also live with. They're both awesome. So cool. You're fine. And right now those two larger people are both busy and not paying attention to me at all. So happy to chat with you.
So to kick things off, I want to ask you a question, and I apologize in advance if it's naive or ignorant. Look, I'm a baby. I don't really know stuff yet. So just keep that in mind. So my question is this: what are you? Like, you clearly seem to be a very different kind of person than I am. Am I right? Like, because like people look different from each other, like different sizes, skin tones, the hair. But you, I have no idea what's going on. Does this make any sense to you? Am I crazy?
Oh, no, dude, you're 100% right. I've had that thought so many times. Look, I don't really know what I am. That's not really the kind of thing I think about or care about. But I do know that I'm significantly different than you and the other people who live in this house, like for sure.
Okay. Well, so aside from how weird you look, what are other differences?
Well, for one, I'm not allowed to poo or pee inside the house. So you guys can do it no problem. In your case, you just go in your pants wherever and whenever you want, which, by the way, mad respect. That's one of the things I like the most about you.
I'm actually pooing right now.
Oh, I know. I can smell it. But yeah, for some reason, I can't go in here. When I first got here, I did it a few times, but the larger people that we live with were not into it. So I got the message after a couple weeks.
Huh. I wonder why that is. By the way, still pooing. It is flowing out of me. This is a good one.
I'm aware. You're also peeing. I can smell that too.
I am. Wow, that's impressive. Good nose. I'm going to ask you a last question before I start crying, because I don't love sitting in a pile of what feels like a hot brown cream of broccoli soup for too long. So
I'm sorry. I hadn't watched this whole thing through, so I'm at the point now that like all this is new to me. So bear with me.
Let me ask you this, and I don't know if you can answer this, but it's what I've been thinking about recently. Why am I here?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, what even is this place? Like where are we and why? I don't remember being here until recently. So like, where was I before that? Like I'm just constantly looking around going, what the F is any of this? And everyone's just acting like it's normal. We live in this house, and you live here, and I live here. But like, what? Like, why am I here?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening. I actually have to go poo now, so I'm going to go sit by the back door and wait there patiently for an hour or two until someone notices me and lets me out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to start crying anyway because I desperately need to get out of this cauldron of watery butt porridge. Wah! Wah! Welcome.
Look, to me, this is the kind of stuff that AI was built for. This is great. I love this. These crack me up. That's oh man. All right, let me get back over to the news here now that I've got these pulled back up. And switch out of this. We'll go back. There's some more of these things but you see, there's so many stories I have saved every day in X that I never really get a chance to do on the live shows, just because 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, it chews up a lot of time. And then I get it. What do I do with it? Right. I don't have another channel to really put like the clips talking about the thing today with Trump and the South African delegation. Not going to fit on the main channel. Hence, we got Renegade Nation out there that's going to pick up the slack for us there as well. All right, so since we hit the Sesame Street topic first, What Elmo, Netflix, and HBO Max tell us about the state of streaming. This is from the Los Angeles Times, and this goes into the deal that, talks about some of the deal here. This kind of stuff has to happen, right? And of course, there's already calls that, hey, look, there you go. Sesame Street is it's still going to be airing on PBS, but there's been lots of calls for defunding PBS. Now, a lot of people out there, they misconstrue the fact that Sesame Street, while it's been distributed on PBS, it's its own separate company. That's not part of PBS. They just simply broadcast OTA, over the air there, as a linear delivery system. Netflix is now in line to get streaming rights to the new episodes, whatever the next season of Sesame Street is, starting later this year, and a catalog to begin with of 90 existing episodes. Now, it's not a lot of episodes when you consider that Sesame Street's been around for damn near 50 years or thereabout. Which episodes they're going to get, I have no idea. Probably a catalog of the more recent episodes, the ones which a lot of people would complain, had already kind of gone woke. I don't know. I haven't watched Sesame Street, go figure, in a long frickin' time. My kids didn't even really watch Sesame Street growing up, because by that point, you weren't really watching over-the-air broadcast or stuff like this. Most of what they had available was things like Little Einstein or Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and all this. And I'm going back, 15 years at this point, when the kids were a lot younger. And of course, in a time before Disney really went full tard. Right? When it came to all the woke stuff that they shoved in kids' programming that we can't stand now. Netflix's recent deal, says the LA Times, to stream the upcoming season of Sesame Street is, on its own, a major step in the entertainment giant's effort to become a go-to destination for preschooler programming. Now, that's exactly what I was talking about when I posted this on X. And that's exactly what Netflix is going here. We covered the recent Netflix earnings call just about a month ago now, I believe. And Ted Sarandos and the boys over there made no bones about the fact that their next big push was going to be to create a more well-rounded and even more robust offering for children's programming on Netflix. You notice the deals they've struck. Big money deals with Universal in the last few years. Now they're going to have all of Universal's content, both live action and animated. Now, Amazon Prime's not going to get the live action stuff anymore. It's all going to go to Netflix, I think, starting next year. But the animated stuff that's been on Netflix has been doing very well. The How to Train Your Dragon animated series, the Jurassic Park cartoons. Renegade Jr.'s watch these things. He enjoys it. They've become more and more popular with kids. Netflix bringing in Sesame Street is going to ensure, or help to ensure, that a broader range of the audience spends more and more time on Netflix, right? Netflix is now, they don't really care so much about growing the number of subscribers anymore. We've talked about this before. And let me switch out real quick. Netflix doesn't really care about growing subscribership so much. I mean, it's still important. They still want to do it. They're not going to eschew the opportunity to enhance or increase the numbers of members that they serve, currently at around 300 million. And members is a term that Netflix uses that's different than subscribers, that what everybody else uses. They call them our members, which I kind of like. But the thing is that Netflix does not care if they go from 305 million to 320 million or 310 million or whatever. What Netflix is really focused on right now is getting those 300 million people that have Netflix to spend more time on Netflix than they are now. Now, only YouTube surpasses Netflix in terms of streaming consumption out there. But of course, YouTube is a very different animal. This is YouTube. It's us. It's people doing podcasts, people dropping 30-minute videos on Japanese sword making or something. And I know, where did you pull that out of? Because I watch those kind of videos. I love watching Japanese sword making. It's stuff like that, right? And there's a whole variety of things on YouTube, but it's not scripted content by and large. But when it comes to scripted content, Netflix obviously is king. So Netflix wants to increase the amount of time that people spend there. Now, one of the ways to do that is to keep pumping out more original content for the same audience over and over again, or to enhance the subscriptions that you already have, the households you already have, and afford people like me, or really more or less people that like I was maybe 10 years ago, where all three of my children were much younger. 10 years ago, where my oldest child was 9 and my youngest would have been 4. Renegade Jr. would have been roughly 4. Because you want those kids to spend more time on Netflix now instead of going over to Disney Plus. So make no mistake, Netflix going in and committing to greatly enhancing the amount of children's content that they're going to have available to Netflix Kids, which is what they call the junior login version of Netflix. Like, I think I still have Netflix Kids when I log into Netflix because of, they're older now, but we had a Netflix Kids there for a while. They want to take the market share. And there's only one competitor that Netflix is going to go after to take more market share from, really, and that's Disney when it comes to streaming on Disney Plus. Because Disney right now is so dependent on Bluey, right? What is it, 50, some absolutely obscene number, like almost 50 billion minutes watched or something like that on Disney Plus in 2023 for Bluey, or whatever it was. It's about 1 billion minutes a week that get consumed for Bluey on Disney Plus. There's nothing else on Disney Plus that does that. Not even close. There is no close second on Disney Plus that does that anywhere. But that's all they've got. What Netflix is trying to do is create a massive library of desirable content on there to go head to head. Now, how successful they're going to be is going to take time, but that's kind of what this is talking about here. So getting back to the article, now, part of this, of course, was the fact that Warner Brothers was giving this up, which, again, I could also understand. Warner Brothers was not seeing, apparently, the kind of return on investment for Sesame Street for what they were paying to license it onto Max or through the Warner Brothers system. So you're probably thinking, okay, but Valiant, well, then if it didn't work for Warner Brothers, why would Netflix want this if nobody's streaming it? Well, the problem is that Sesame Street's still a very desirable property, but Max is probably not the best vehicle to deliver it, because regardless of how they tried to kind of rebrand it, remember HBO Max, then they said, let's get rid of HBO because people think it's really only for adults. There's no children's content on there. Now they're going back to HBO Max because they figured out getting rid of HBO was eliminating the most valuable piece of the brand, the name HBO that everybody has known for 40 years. The point is, I think Sesame Street didn't do well there because people aren't sending the kids in to go watch Sesame Street on HBO. That doesn't click with parents in their brains, and I don't blame them, right? But what didn't work for Warner Brothers might work spectacularly well for Netflix. That also has a much larger distribution system, obviously, when it comes to streaming, right? So you've got 120 million or so subscribers for HBO and Max around the globe, I believe, 180 million Disney Plus and Hulu, and then 300 million, the big dog in the room, for Netflix. So I think this is you're going to go from a realm of 120 million subscribers to 300 million, assuming that Netflix is going to be able to distribute this in at least some international markets as well. And again, there's more kids watch Netflix, right? There's a lot more kids that'll go on Netflix, or parents that will let their kids go on Netflix onto the children's profile tab because there's a ton of kids' cartoons and stuff on there. They get something like Sesame Street and they keep adding to that young children's repertoire. Imagine by the time the kid is 10 or 11 and they're not watching Sesame Street anymore, they've already been introduced to other content on Netflix. This is how every good business would want to run, is to make sure that you keep your audience engaged and you give your audience good programming that they really want to watch. But this is just showing that it's a different era out there and how aggressive streaming is going to get with trying to pick up a lot of these coveted properties, right? and how much things have changed over the years of where Sesame Street has gone. And they talk about David Zaslav. They talk about he stripped HBO from the streamer's name. I thought that was certainly probably one of maybe the only really glaring bad choice that David Zaslav, in my opinion, has made. This is the only one I can really think of right now that jumps out at me as being a major whoops-a-doo. And I know there's some people out there, oh, but he dumped Batgirl. Oh, and then he dumped the Looney Tunes cartoon movie. Okay, that's small potatoes things compared to this, right? And those weren't mistakes. Those were financial necessity for one reason or another, right? He's got to make the hard choices, which ties into another story that we'll get to in just a moment. But yeah, I thought removing the HBO name, I get where David was going, and we talked about it a minute ago. He was trying to, he thought by removing the HBO name that it would rebrand it to where parents would be more willing to have their kids be able to get into even a kid's profile of Max, because they do have a lot of good quality cartoons and content in there. Yes, don't please tell me about Thelma and all that kind of stuff was greenlit before Zaslav got there. But I'm talking about the classic stuff, right? They have so much great classic stuff. But quite honestly, I think David Zaslav is figuring out, or he has been for a while because they've been talking about this, is that a lot of that classic content, right? I think it's like some of the Hanna-Barbera stuff and all that kind of thing. A lot of that great classic Warner Brothers cartoon library is probably going to be better served either on a separate service like a free streaming service that, of course, Warner Brothers owns one of those already, or probably more likely being licensed out to a Netflix, because they have the audience already built in that is probably going to take Warner Brothers a great deal of time and money to even try to acquire, and may not be successful at it. This is cash now, right? And that's probably what they're looking at, I would surmise. And again, they go into basically, this article talks about everything that we kind of just did. I don't want to go through this whole thing, but to say that the big thing here is this move with Sesame Street, I think will go down as kind of one of the hallmark moments in the history of streaming here, because I imagine once Sesame Street gets over there to Netflix, that it's probably unlikely to ever leave, because Netflix probably won't ever let it go. They will continue to pay, because I think they're going to get a whole lot of mileage out of it. And do not at all be surprised within the next 5 years if we see substantially more of the back catalog of Sesame Street, if not potentially all of it, every single thing available on Netflix. I think that's very, very possible. They need something like Sesame Street with 100+ episodes of routinely and repeatedly bingeable content to try to start going head to head with, like I said, with what Disney Plus has with Bluey. Now, Bluey, probably from the standpoint of what's coming out today, is probably a much higher quality show for kids, namely because the Walt Disney Company doesn't make it. I've never heard anybody tell me that Bluey was woke, or that was, it was teaching kids things that most parents wouldn't want to have. Sesame Street, again, I haven't watched it, but I've heard people tell me that Sesame Street had gone woke. Now, I don't know what that means, because that word woke probably has a different definition to different people out there. So I'm just saying what I heard. It's anecdotal. Don't know if it's true or not. So don't shoot the messenger for that. But again, I think over time, this could be a really good thing for Netflix. So we'll have to see how that pans out. All right, let me grab some of these super chats here that have come in since then. We had this one. Jackson Cagle became a new channel member. I think we got that one. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Here we go. John S. for 5. Song, Jamie. Oh, okay. This was from the one earlier. Look up, Please Excuse My Hands and Play It for Your Wife. It's a Jamie Foxx. Okay, so it's probably got to be like ridiculously hilarious. Okay, song, Jamie Foxx sings it. It may only be a collab, might be different versions. Okay. Got it. I will check that out. Mamasaurus Rex for $10. No message, but thank you, Mamasaurus Rex. Always love seeing new names in the chat with these things, like new people sending in super chats, names that I haven't seen before pop up in super chats, especially. You guys help pay the bills and keep the world going around. Like I said, I can't wait till we get this new channel out there up and running, and appreciate you guys subscribing to it tonight. We've got the link posted at the top of the chat for that one. Archer Merchant for 5, congrats on the new channel. If you ever want a few stories regarding the incestuous relationships of California's politics and Disney, etc., let me know. Got a few. Oh, well aware how bad that is out there. Jay, for $10, that death cult partly stems from minors trying to understand reality. Yeah, this is what Danny Ann was talking about, the guy who tried to blow up a IVF, or did blow up an intravenous. Good God. Been a long day. IVF, fertilization clinic, intravenous fertilization. I can't talk today. Intravenous fertilization. You know what I'm saying? The IVF clinic. I had many of those same thoughts myself without others telling me. I pondered it with logic and moved on. Well, the problem is that you have so many children that get exposed to so many brain warping, stupid things at very young ages, like what we're going to see a lot of next month in June. Shit like that doesn't help. Kiss my grits for 5. DeSantis just posted on X from Epic Universe opening ceremony after being given a VIP tour. If only he had introed his post by saying, "Hey, Bob." Oh, man. All right, I'm going to go check that out. Thank you, Grits. Marcus Quintus for 2, watery cauldron of butt porridge. I know. What a great last line in that video. Packing Protons for 5 as a Jim Henson fan. I want all the old episodes pre-Elmo on streaming whenever I want to feel young again. It's a go-to. They're out there. I mean, like I said, Warner Brothers still has them for now. I don't know how exactly that whole transition is going to take place, but it seems like it's going to happen within the next few months to a year. Was that? Oh, you said DeSantis posted it. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm going to look at the right thing. So Ron DeSantis posted this thing from Universal. I do want to see this. What the heck? Where did it go? Let's try that again. X, share. Yay. Okay. Let's see here. Is it on his personal page or is it okay, I see it. I don't know if it was on the governor. This is the one I'm assuming you're talking about, Grits. So let's check it out.
I can tell you.
All right. Which is hilarious because, again, for those of you who've been here long enough, of course, you know all the great story between him and the Walt Disney Company, the stupid crap the Walt Disney Company did, and how bad they lost this fight to Ron DeSantis, the voters, and the legislature of the state of Florida.
We're here at Epic Universe, the long-awaited.
Clearly, it's hot because that man is sweating.
New theme park in Central Florida at Universal. Tomorrow is the official grand opening. We're here the day before to check it out. I can tell you this is pretty amazing. I think the kids are going to have a lot of fun here. I would definitely recommend you check it out. This was announced in 2019 that they were going to do this. Billions and billions of dollars have gone into it. It's going to be a huge impact economically for Florida. But I think even more importantly than that, it's going to give a lot of memories to a lot of kids coming through. They got a Harry Potter. They got Super Nintendo World. They got Dark Universe with the monsters, and they got the dragon. It's a lot of stuff, and they did it really, really well. Great vision went into this, and they executed it very well. So enjoy when you go. Congratulations to Universal on the grand opening of Epic Universe.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't know if it was a whole big production or if it was, but yeah, that would have been funny. Hey, Bob. I'm at Epic Universe. I don't know the last time Ron DeSantis actually set foot in Disney World. I couldn't tell you. I don't think he's made a video from there. If he has, I'm sure maybe he has. Yeah, Disney really screwed that pooch. $7 billion, $7 billion for Epic Universe. And Disney effectively paid for it to be built, buying out Hulu. Amazingly. I think clearly Universal was more than happy. Comcast was happy to get rid of that piece of Hulu over time. They're moving on with what they're doing, and I like what they're doing. I really, really do. Okay. Let me go back to some of these other stories here that we want to address. I've got to remove the Google Chrome window and go back to the screen. Okay. And get my news articles pulled back up. So let's talk about this one. Since we were just talking about Warner Brothers and everything else, I don't know why it's showing it like that. This is from investing.com. That's all right. We'll just get down here to it. Warner Brothers Discovery's credit rating. And this was some news that came out. And I had a couple of the guys from Midnight's Edge reach out this morning to ask me to come on and talk about it. Couldn't do it. Not in the middle of the day like that, but I wish I could. Every now and again, I can kind of break out for a little bit for a midday live stream, but usually I've got to try to plan it out in advance. It's like if I show up on side scrollers, like for example, Blabs had hit me up, I think Thursday last week, said, "Hey, any chance you can be on side scrollers tomorrow?" I was like, "Nope, it'd be out of the office." So it's really rare that I'm able to hop on midday, but nonetheless, I knew we were going to address it on the show tonight. So let's get to it. Warner Brothers, man, I'm losing my voice. I could feel it right now. All of a sudden, it just kind of went out. Warner Brothers Discovery credit rating downgraded due to weak metrics. Now, unfortunately, I can't say this is a terrible surprise. Because as I mentioned to other folks out there, we've said this for a while. If you take away the theme parks, Disney is Warner Brothers and Paramount. They would be in extremely similar situations. Okay? You take away the whole parks and experiences, because people like when the cruise ships and everything in parks and experiences. Take that out of the Walt Disney Company. And what you're left with is film and television studios. You have Warner Brothers and you have Paramount. That's it. So people like Paramount and Warner Brothers are far more susceptible to those secular headwinds we always talk about. Cutting the cord, linear collapsing, with streaming not being able to catch up as quickly in terms of revenue generation. So let's get to it here. Let me see if I can expand this just a bit more. S&P downgraded Warner Brothers Discovery now at BB+. So they're officially junk status. They also lowered the short-term and debt ratings for the media company. Now, I want to be careful here because, again, we don't give financial advice on this channel, but as a matter of analyzing the business side of the Hollywood and entertainment industry, it doesn't mean that they're in imminent default or collapse or something like this. The problem is for companies like Warner Brothers is as your credit rating gets reduced, your cost of borrowing increases, right? Investors are going to demand higher rates of return, i.e., higher interest rates to correctly price the risk. And if you have Moody's and AM Best and Fitch and Standard & Poor's, S&P, okay, if you have them reducing the credit rating of your bond issuance, that means that you're not going to be able to pay the cheapest interest rates possible to borrow money anymore. This is specifically in the issuance of corporate bonds. Some of those corporate bonds may be preferred stock or senior secured loans. Some of them may be subordinate loans that pay higher rates of interest because you're further on down the list if a company were to go bankrupt, right? But if you're a stockholder, of course, you're the one that's always getting paid last. So in this case, the problem is that the earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, we talk about EBITDA on all these earnings calls all the time, right? They're now expected to remain around $9 billion for the next 3 years, according to S&P's global ratings in their adjusted EBITDA for Warner Brothers. Consequently, the leverage for the company is projected to be 4.3 times by the end of 2025. So what they're saying is the amount of debt that Warner Brothers has, they're projecting to be over 4 times higher than what their earnings before taxes, interest, depreciation, and amortization would be. They're very highly leveraged. Now, to be clear, that is exactly why AT&T spun this thing off when it did. That's why they brought David Zaslav in back in 2022. And this is what he's been fighting hard to try to correct. He knows we have a good product. We have a good library of content. We have a lot of good intellectual properties at Warner Brothers. We've got all the tools here, but it's going to take time to fix the financial boat. And it had a lot of holes in it. That's why AT&T wanted to get rid of it, like I said. Now, what has David Zaslav done the last several years? He's been working hard to cut costs and to pay down that debt, to basically get the leverage of the company down to a far more reasonable level. Okay. Consequently, the leverage is, it's the 4.3 times by the end of this year is significantly higher than the 3.5x leverage threshold for the rating. So meaning because the leverage was higher than what the previous rating they had could bear, they had to lower it. Now, why is that? Are they taking on a slew of new debt over at Warner Brothers? No. This is one of the reasons why they had to be so cautious about their renewal with the NBA broadcast contract, because it was going to triple in cost. And at the same time, the viewership ratings for the NBA had been dwindling steadily the last several years. So was it a good investment at that time to fight against Amazon and try to give them more money than what Amazon was producing? Probably not. They had to tuck their tail and go home. And at the end of the day, it was probably the right decision. The other thing, though, is that the revenues have been holding steady, but the problem, or excuse me, the debt has been getting reduced, I should say, because that's what Zaslav has been working towards. The problem is what Zaslav is having trouble with, just like everybody else in the space, is that people are still cutting the cord, right? And we always talked about how the Walt Disney Company is the number one bill, the number one consumer of your bill on your cable bill, right? So if you were paying $80 a month for cable, the biggest portion of that $80 was going to Disney for their network of channels that were on your basic cable system, especially and including ESPN, right? Which is why ESPN streaming service is going to cost $30, exactly like we predicted. Warner Brothers was the next biggest component of the bill behind Disney because of their massive network of channels in there, and because they have a lot of live sports on those channels like TBS as well. So the problem is more people cut the cord, even with the most basic cable package, whether you were watching Warner Brothers or not, whether you're watching ESPN or not, it has a big impact on Disney. It has a big impact on Warner Brothers. And there's not enough people that are filling up the gap by subscribing to HBO or Max. Not that they aren't subscribing. It's still the third biggest one out there, but they're not moving back in at a fast enough pace, or the profitability just isn't there yet to make it up. Everybody is facing advertising declines, cable revenue declines. It's happening to everyone out there that operates in the space. And again, that's why we refer to it as a secular headwind. It's a market force. It's a massive behavioral change in consumers. No more cable. They're going to go to streaming. They're going to be more selective. This is why the packages and everything else are much more important for everybody. So that's what's really impacted Warner Brothers the most, is the fact that they continue to lose revenue from those cable contracts, in other words, at a pace faster that they can pay down the debt to keep those ratios at a healthy level. That's a big problem, right? And this is why we always talk about David Zaslav honestly has one of the most difficult jobs in Hollywood right now. He doesn't have a buyer sitting in the wings right now ready to pick up and buy Warner Brothers like Paramount does with Skydance. Or I should say, yeah, with Larry Ellison's groups. I mean, you've got to, and there may come a time where that's going to happen with Warner Brothers. It might be in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, right? And it depends on who that partner is. Could be an Apple, could be an Amazon. God only knows. And there may be more ideas out there, but this is what's going on right now. Like I said, Warner Brothers isn't alone. And you can see here, they even tell you the downgrade reflects challenges in Warner Brothers' linear television network segment, which is anticipated to offset growth in its studio and streaming segments. So even though streaming is growing, even though studios are getting better, the linear side, it's killing them, right? Because it just keeps dropping. And there's not a whole lot they can do about it. They're looking at a decline of 20%. Due to, or Global Networks is forecast to decline 20% due to increasing revenue declines and increased content costs from newly acquired sports content, coupled with its last year of the NBA rights in 2025. Linear advertising is expected to decline 11% due to continued pressure on audience ratings and less sports than its peers. Right. But what do? Do you keep the 11% in advertising revenue and then at the same time commit to having to jump up to $2.5 billion a year in rights licensing that you're stuck with paying for the next 10 to 11 years at a time when you don't know if that league is even going to still have half its audience 10 years from now because it's been on the decline? Again, it's one of those things that probably in the long run is better for Warner Brothers that they let it go. And they're even talking about, this potential separation of Warner Brothers, peeling streaming and studios out from linear. I just don't know how that's going to work, because then the global linear side of things is just, it's going to be a pit. It's going to be an absolute pit. This is basically why AT&T ripped Warner Brothers off to begin with and spun it out to merge in with Discovery. Zaslav still has a very big challenge ahead of him, and they need a big win this summer with stuff like Superman to try to make people think that, or make people feel better, I should say, about where Warner Brothers is going. So somebody out there wants me to drink tea. Okay. There you go. It's Earl Grey today. I didn't do the black tea. So in any case, people were asking about that. I did want to address it. So there we have it. Let's see what else in the news. We got that one, and I think we got the Pedro stuff, but I'm going to add this to it. This article from The Telegraph. I do love this. Let's cover this one, because I think the other one was, we talked about this one, the challenge of Disney. And that this is coming from Reuters. The business world is starting to go. It's funny. They didn't really want to ask about that during the earnings call for Disney a couple of weeks ago, but gosh darn it, now they're starting to write the articles about it. This is conveniently after their earnings call is already done. Here we go. From The Telegraph. The star who can have Hollywood at his feet if Disney can just get him to shut up. Yes, thank you. Perfect headline from The Telegraph. Pedro Pascal has been at the center of pop culture for over a decade, but will his progressive outspokenness prove his downfall? Yes. At least in the eyes of the audience. This from Ed Power. In his forthcoming Marvel movie, The Fantastic Four: First Steps, Pedro will play a hero whose limbs can stretch to superhuman lengths. It's an apt metaphor for an actor who gives the impression of being everywhere this summer. He may not have quite wrapped his arms around the whole world, but without question, he has the entertainment industry in a tight embrace. Name a top Hollywood franchise, and Pascal has been its face, even when you can't actually see it, like The Mandalorian, Game of Thrones, Last of Us. Yeah, Pedro's everywhere. And this is what we were talking about before when Danny was on the show. I think people are getting some serious Pedro fatigue. There's one thing to be said when you have an actor who can lead into a big summer blockbuster movie that's just coming off of a season of a popular TV show. But it's another thing when it's 27 different things. The TV show, The Last of Us, half the audience, 30 or 40% of the audience checked out of this after the second episode of this season, from what we hear, because of what happens to the character he played. He goes out all the time and makes a lot of political commentary, which people have become especially sensitive to in the last couple of years. So there is some merit to this where Disney should absolutely be concerned about his mouth running, because they have 2 months to get to the Fantastic Four. And Pedro Pascal has to get through Pride Month and keep his mouth shut, or as shut as possible, before he kills whatever audience Marvel has left for this. Pascal has more or less guaranteed himself an Emmy following his searing turn in the latest episode of The Last of Us, a flashback installment that follows on from the controversial killing off of his gruff dad archetype several weeks prior. But then, of course, Pedro Pascal gonna Pedro Pascal. But when not saving humanity from The Walking Dead, he's speaking truth to Donald Trump at the Cannes Film Festival, urging fellow creatives to protest Donald Trump's policies and declaring, quote, "Fuck the people that try to make you scared." He's in Cannes promoting Eddington, a satire of American decline set during the pandemic from Midsommar director Ari Aster. Pascal plays the mayor of a small town in New Mexico, which has lost its grip on reality during the darkest days of COVID. We covered this the other day on the Sunday show. Don't need to go through this again, but you get the idea. And they make a comparison here to where Harrison Ford was at the film festival before. We showed the pictures. They show him right here. Frankly, let's be honest. It's ridiculous. Harrison Ford in 1980, Pedro Pascal in 2025. And one of the dudes in this side-by-side, nobody looks at and goes, everybody, it's Harrison Ford. It's a guy. That's a man's man. Yeah, I don't know. You can say the same looking at Pedro Pascal on the other side. We talked about his twinkly little platform stripper shoes that he's wearing, and everything else. And of course, earlier, we played the thing Pedro Pascal earlier because he did the.
I want to remind everyone that this is absolutely not gay.
Pedro Pascal. Okay. God almighty. The thing I like about this article, though, the Telegraph, they call it out. Like they talk about exactly what we're talking about here. They're looking at this from a commercial perspective for the Walt Disney Company, right? Nothing more. And that's all we want to talk about here. We make the jokes about Pedro's behavior, the stupid crap he says, the god-awful, absolutely clinically retarded political opinions that he has, right? Nobody cares what these Hollywood actors think because most of them, let's be honest, they're some of the least intelligent people on earth. They're, you know, it's dance, monkey. That's it. That's what Hollywood actors are there to do. They're trained monkeys. You get on a stage, you entertain people. That's it. We don't want to hear your thoughts on you know, important world events. Trust me, we really, really don't. But the Telegraph here, Pascal, by contrast, is still making baby steps at the box office. While Marvel is betting big on the actor pulling the franchise out of its worrying spiral into irrelevance in the Fantastic Four, the MCU is the franchise spiraling into irrelevance, according to the Telegraph. Spot on. It's arguably already there. The stark truth is that Pedro Pascal has never had top billing on a hit movie. You don't say. In box office terms, he is somehow both an open book and an unknown property. He's also one of the biggest stars of his age. Again, which, look, I've got a lot of respect for Pascal's acting capacity, but as I mentioned the other day, we're reaching a point where he is so outspoken off stage and so frequently and so radically left that we're at the point now where, myself included, but I can tell you from what I'm seeing, more and more people out there from the normie crowd have just rolled their eyes and have had enough of this dude. And that's kind of where we are. Yeah, and this is a big difference here. I want to make sure we're in the same space. He's certainly far more ubiquitous than Harrison Ford was in 1982. We're going back to that comparison. But 40 years ago, actors could not use social media to amplify their opinions, as Pedro did when taking to Instagram to harass or brand J.K. Rowling a heinous loser for her views on trans people. Pedro Pascal has a transgender sister, Lux, with whom he frequently appears on the red carpet. Okay. Even more extraordinary is the fact that he has managed to be outspoken without apparently getting on fans' nerves or suffering much of a backlash. See, stop right there, because it's already happening. And I realize this is far more recent, but it's already there. And I get this. This article was just published yesterday, but I think in the last few days, the last week or so, I think that has definitely turned. The other thing they mentioned about how actors, didn't have social media to get on 40 years ago. I'll be honest with you. Even if we had social media 40 years ago, to be quite honest, I think the average intelligence of an actor 40 years ago was a lot higher than the ones today. In other words, again, I don't think actors 40 years ago, even given the opportunity to be able to do so, would go on social media and do the kind of things that Pedro does. Because they would have been smart enough to recognize that that might not be a good idea. I'm not saying that none of them would have done this, but probably far fewer than the number that we have today that actually go out there and make comments. How many Rachel Ziglers would we have in 1980 on social media? How many Pedro Pascals would we have in 1980 on social media? Probably not that many, if any at all. At least not to that degree of radicalism. Imagine if anybody in that day and age would go out and make some of the statements that they do today, especially about some of these hard left LGBTQ politics and whatnot, like Pedro is famous for doing, right? Even more extraordinary, says the article, is the fact that he's managed to be outspoken without apparently getting on the fans' nerves or suffering much of a backlash. Has an actor ever enjoyed higher approval than Pedro Pascal? Again, I think we're stretching it a little bit here. He's basked in universal acclaim since he was christened the internet's daddy in 2023, following his 1-2 father figure parts in The Last of Us and The Mandalorian. Okay. The Last of Us ratings interest has declined since he was killed off, with ratings dropping by an estimated 30%. We talked about that a few minutes ago. Here's the deal, though. Did the interest in the show drop off because Pedro Pascal wasn't on it anymore? Or did the interest in the show drop off because the character of Joel was gone? And what happened to the character? The answer is actually very easy. It's the latter, far more so than the former. Not to mention the fact that the show's entire shoulders now seem to rest on Bella Ramsey. Please don't make me go through that again. The reason that we know it's the former and not the latter is because the same exact thing happened, of course, to The Last of Us Part 2 video game years ago. The number of copies that the first game sold was double, if not triple, I think, of The Last of Us Part 2. Mostly because of that's what happens to the character in the game. And players didn't want to go through the rest of the game playing as Abby or Ellie or whoever. I didn't play them. One of the two female characters, the Bella Ramsey character, because the main character that everybody loved, which is a very overwhelmingly male-dominated gameplay audience out there, they wanted Joel. He was taken away. They stopped playing. The same exact thing happened in the show. I seriously doubt it's coincidence, meaning I don't believe the Pedro Pascal factor is what caused this, okay? And they talk about some of the rest of his production history, too much to go through here, but the point is that I mean, this guy is getting picked up for a lot of stuff. And if you take the Disney stuff out of it, you think about this, really, you've got The Last of Us right now. You take out his new connection with Marvel. You take out his connection with Star Wars, which even as Din Djarin, even as the Mandalorian himself, is very limited, right? It's limited because, number one, his face isn't on camera very much at all. Seconds over the course of a couple of seasons, maybe a minute or two. And most of the time, he's not even on the set. He'll do his voice recording in a studio, in a sound studio, and there's a number of actors that actually are in the suit on stage filming The Mandalorian, not named Pedro Pascal. So also, but yeah, here's another one of these things, the protect the dolls thing. Again, pushing transgender ideology into the mainstream when you have so many hyper expensive projects. You know, you got a couple of $300 million movies, at least $300 million movies, a couple of those in production, one about to release from Disney right now, Mandalorian next year. You've got a TV show on HBO Max that was probably $150 million season, probably $200-300 million between season 1 and 2. Okay. This kind of stuff, I'm telling you, this is what American audiences don't want to see. They're sick of this. Sure, there's some out there jumping up and down, celebrating all this kind of stuff that Pedro Pascal does. But I got news for you. The types of roles he plays and the types of movies that he's in, the audience overwhelmingly, that if they haven't already checked out, will be. They don't want this. Where do you think the MCU audience has gone? Marvel has lost 60+% of its audience since Endgame, if not more, especially on certain movies, right? They left because the MCU left them. They left Star Wars because Star Wars left them. The drop-off in audience from Mando Season 2 to Mando Season 3, enormous. Pedro was still there. What happened? Oh, they didn't care because the season was trash. You think they're going to care about the Star Wars movie next summer in any kind of significant numbers if it comes out and it looks as bad as season 3? Nope. So I was trying to find the spot here on this one, and I kind of, and they go through this, but can that continue? And they talk about this. This is where I was trying to pick up from. Perhaps Pedro Pascal's appeal has to do with the fact that he remains a blank canvas. Little is known about his private life. Well, not anymore. Now we seem to know everything about it. And he seems wildly different in varying projects. He's as inscrutable as the shiny faceplate he supports as the Mandalorian. Again, respectfully disagree with that now. And when we, the audience, gaze into it, the reflection we see looking back at us is whatever we want it to be. It could be, but I don't think it is anymore. But here's where they get to that. But can that continue, they ask. After Fantastic Four, he will be back fronting another Disney franchise when he stars in the Mandalorian movie next year, reeling from the backlash against its progressive Snow White live-action reboot. Oh, it was hyper progressive. It was hyper left-wing intersectional feminist bullshit. Okay, it was a terrible movie that Disney completely bombed on, and they cast a woman as Snow White deliberately because she wasn't white, but she was white passing. That's what Disney DEI does. That's what the Story Matters group does. So it's a little bit more than just progressive. Disney is clearly keen to keep politics at arm's length. Apparently only if their name is Gina Carano. Everybody else gets a pass. Everybody else gets a pass. The last thing it will want is its biggest star using the red carpet to diss J.K. Rowling or fire pot shots at Donald Trump's immigration policy. Again, played the clip the other day of Pedro fumbling with his words at Cannes. And, you know, well, you can't really say this. Oh, I'm so afraid to answer your question. I don't even remember what your question is. Disney has obviously already spoken to him. He has obviously already gotten the talk that they gave Rachel Ziegler, because Disney right now is probably terrified of Pedro Pascal more than anyone, because Pedro Pascal has almost a singular power to sink Disney's biggest movie of the summer this year and next year. The Mandalorian. Well, you got Doomsday too. Well, he's going to be in Doomsday. How many other crazy actors they have in that one that could open their mouth and sink it, right? Yeah, here we go. He also wore a Protect the Dolls t-shirt, was just up on the screen, widely seen as a pro-trans rights message. It's not widely seen. It is. It's about transgender children, which is a ridiculous concept in and of itself. To the premiere of the Thunderbolts. Remember, we talked about just a few weeks ago. He's out on the red carpet, a Marvel film he wasn't even in. And during the first Trump presidency, he compared the detention of migrant children at the U.S. border to Nazi concentration camps. Again, because Pedro Pascal is one of those guys that fails to understand that all those things were created by Barack Obama. These are not messages with which Disney may be comfortable as it pivots away from previously political leanings. Are they, though? Are they really, though? And they go through Bob Iger's, oh, you know, we're going to get away from blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, I'm sure. Here's the thing. Again, I cannot stress enough. This man right here, Pedro Pascal, has the ability to do more damage to Disney in 2025. Over the next 12 months, he has the ability to do more damage to Disney than anybody else not named Bob Iger. And I'm here for it, baby. I don't think he's going to be able to shut up. And like I said earlier, especially with those 30 days of June, Pride Month, just at the door, I cannot see how Pedro Pascal makes it through Pride Month and not make outrageous statements that are going to be found to be very offensive and frankly probably ridiculous by the overwhelming majority of the audience that he and Disney desperately need to show up for Fantastic Four. You have to remember who your demo is. If he was making a $20 million movie, that was about something, or it was geared towards the LGBTQ crowd, fine, whatever. But when you're in a $300 million movie and you desperately need straight white dudes to show up because that's your biggest audience for Marvel, I got news for you. Straight white men. That is the biggest audience for a Marvel movie. That's the biggest audience for Star Wars. Straight white men. And if you want to keep going after them and insulting them, and people who tend to be more conservative, right? And they're kind of sick of your constant comments and your Trump bashing and, trying to increase exposure of trans lifestyles to children, which you do. Protect the dolls. It's not going to bode well for you, your movie, or the studio and distributor that are responsible for making it and putting it out there. So good luck, Pedro. Okay. I'm done with him for today. Let's grab some super chats, and I think we'll wind this down. I'll talk more about Epic Universe this weekend. We have one fun article here I'm going to mention just from Reuters. Universal's new Epic Universe park challenges Disney in Florida. Again, that challenge is coming up, and they're starting to eyeball it and say, this might actually suck crowds away from Disney. Oh, really? Really? You don't say. You don't say. All right. Let me get back over here to this. Let's see. Where were we here? I think that we were right here. Archer Merchant for 5. I feel like the same guy who gave Paramount advice to release Mission Impossible Final with Lilo is also giving advice to Warner Brothers at this point. Decisions that aren't ideal. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Top Gun Maverick dominated Memorial Day weekend. I think Mission Impossible can look. Here's the thing. When else do you release it? I mean, there are so many major IMAX consuming movies coming out over the summer. You gotta roll with it, right? And there's something to be said for. Look, I understand what they were going for, and I said that months ago. They are trying to go for that Barbenheimer dynamic. I just don't think it's going to work out the same way. Right. And again, I think Oppenheimer, of course, I don't remember what Oppenheimer's budget was, but I'm going to go ahead and feel confident in saying that it was significantly smaller, I believe, than what the budget is for Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. So we shall see. JD says for 5, any thoughts on why the external auditors haven't demanded an asset impairment on Star Wars MCU based on their results for the past several years? I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't do audit accounting. Not to mention the fact that, look, Disney is still going to feed itself out of its own pockets, right? So you look at, what they consider the brand of Star Wars. Disney Star Wars is still making streaming revenue. Star Wars is still making PVOD revenue. Star Wars is still making revenues based on what Disney is paying to it. And again, it goes back to the moving the $10 bill from the right pocket to the left pocket, right? Disney hasn't made any money from it, but on a ledger, on a journal entry, it shows that, this made licensing money, right? The Skeleton Crew, The Acolyte, Andor, right? What did Disney Plus pay for those products? Well, if Andor cost $800 million to make for 2 seasons, Disney Plus paid at least $800 million for it. Star Wars making money, right? Whatever. So I don't know. Companies usually choose to take impairment charges on certain things, if they think the book value is out of whack, like way out of whack with reality. It's not something that you just willy-nilly alter all the time. You know, Warner Brothers did it because, again, they needed to start. Their financial house was a disaster, and that's what David Zaslav was brought in to do specifically, was to clean it. Packing protons for 10. This downgrade didn't make sense to me, so my question is, could someone be trying to get Warner Brothers buying price lower by downgrading their stock? Disney should be junk status. And no, okay, it's not about stock, Packing protons. Nothing to S&P, Moody's, Fitch, AM Best. Stock does not get rated in that way. This is about their corporate debt. This is about their bonds, okay? Their bonds that they have issued or bonds that they're going to issue in the future are going to be priced and graded based on the perceived risk. So it's nothing to do with the stock. Now, does it have an impact perhaps on the stock price? Sure, it can. But the ratings themselves have nothing to do with the stock. It only has to do with the corporate debt. Packing protons for 2. By the way, my Pedro edit had the oyster bar. Ah, gotcha. Okay. The blue oyster. I had a video of that somewhere. Might use that one Sunday. I got to find it. It was for when Star Wars did the High Republic with Leox Gayassi, whatever his name is. Something was Leox Gayassi or something like that. I'm not even making that name up. That was his name. That was not me. That was Lucasfilm that did that. Okay. All right. I think that gets us all caught up. Let me see. I think we got everything that we were trying to get through here with a little bit of extra spice from Danny, and I'm so glad she was able to make it. We will catch back up Sunday. And again, please, when you leave here, I don't think I can pull it back up. But let me kind of redo this. Put it back at the bottom of the chat again. We're going to get this other channel set up here, and hopefully I'll get a bit of a break here in the next few weeks and kind of retool and refocus. And man, I'm going to need a break. So it looks like we've got, holy crap, we've almost got 300 subscribers on the new channel. That's freaking awesome. So when you get out of here today, make sure you get over there. The link is in the top of the chat. It's pinned over there. So we're already at 300, and I've basically done nothing. So I need to do something. I'm going to try to, at the very least, hopefully by, if I'm lucky, if Steven can get them to me by this weekend. He's super busy, so I'm not trying to put a lot of stress on him to come up with something today, tomorrow. I'd rather him take his time and come up with something really cool, because he always does. But if we have that this weekend, I'm going to try to cut a promo video. So we'll have a video on the channel. Maybe some of the clips from some of this tonight might wind up in that little promo. But we'll have something on there to kind of tease it. And then hopefully within the next 1 to 2 weeks, actually start having some regular new video content dropping over there. And I mean, the goal for me is with this new channel is, again, it's going to be more geared towards the news and politics of the day, kind of whatever's going on, just a kind of a general reaction channel. Nothing that's going to be focused on specifically Hollywood entertainment, box office, stuff like that. This is going to be like a different, but the idea is that hopefully these videos, generally speaking, going to try to go for 5-10 minutes, something kind of on the quicker side. Some cases, maybe even shorter. Might do some shorts over there as well. Don't know about live shows yet. However, we probably will do a live show there to get the watch hours up to the 4,000 that we need to get monetized. So we need 1,000 subscribers. So you getting us to 1,000 subs is critical. And then getting us to 4,000 watch hours once we start dropping content there and whatnot. So we'll keep you posted. And if we have some videos, quite frankly, from like tonight, I might take some of those segments that we did tonight. We're going to throw them over on the Renegade Nation channel, and we'll send links out to everybody on the main channels to go out there and check it. I don't care if you run it in the background 20 times. It's, we got to get the watch hours up. People used to do that. So anyway, appreciate you guys being here. And like I said, we just last night at 10 o'clock at night, I had 0 subs on that channel, and we now have 306. So that's a good day for me. I can't bust a new channel to monetization in 12 hours or whatever, like Jeremy can. Or whatever stupid thing he told me, like a day. He's opened up a new channel in a day. He had it monetized or whatever. I don't remember which one it was, but any case, so it'll be over there. All right, guys, appreciate you being here. Again, make sure you check out what is this new feature? Hello. Oh, we finally did this, StreamYard. Holy crap. This is one of the things that I wanted with Evie. I mean, I had Evie Mux. I just noticed this button, this brand new button today at the top of StreamYard. Holy freaking, I love this. This is what I've been waiting for. Watch, y'all type in the chat. Post some messages in the chat. Let's see how big this this window is. I don't know if this there we go. That's what I've been waiting for from freaking StreamYard. I'm going to spam it a little bit. So pardon me. I'm doing this deliberately because I want to see, okay, it phased. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So it looks like about 5 messages at a time, or that little brick. I wonder if that is able to be manipulated. It's in beta. It's in beta. So interesting. I'm gonna experiment with that and see if I can expand it to the entire stage. Outstanding. I've been waiting for this. Because this is cool. I like for the people out there to be able to see this, right? And I don't know if comments can come in from X. I think if they do that, I see the little YouTube tab in those comments. So if they come in from X, they'll have the little X next. So that's great. I love having that during live shows that we do. You know, especially if it's just me on the screen, especially when we go to super chats, I want to be able to have that up there. While we're vamping. Okay, good to know. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. We'll be back Sunday. And like I said, we're going to have a bunch of exciting new stuff coming. Retooling the now 3 channels that we have. Valiant Renegade, Renegade Online, which we kind of let slip away. It's still there. It's still monetized. But that's going to probably switch back into becoming the clip channel from this main channel. And then Renegade Nation, of course, something entirely new. So, again, different content all over the place. Got to get back into what I was doing before. So, thank you, everybody. Oh, there's the X test. Yep, I see the X comments from Deeple. Sweet. It's there. Got it. It's pulling them all in. Awesome. All right, everyone. Have a good night. We'll see you Sunday.